Hey guys, welcome to Feature Creatures DTF. I am one half of your host, Jordana, and with me is the other half, Sam.
What's going on, Jordana?
Oh, not much. Happy Thursday, my friend.
Whoop whoop.
I know. Whoop, whoop. I mean, I'm not off tomorrow, but still, hey, it's like Thursday Eve to Friday, so can't go wrong.
No, no. And I don't know about you. It's a fine day here. Probably our last good day we're gonna have, so I'm happy.
Super warm. Love the sunshine. Not looking forward to the snow, but
Fuck the snow.
it's inevitable. So, and you think I would get used to it after the bajillion years that I've lived in the North Country.
Yeah, same here. But no, I fucking hate it. And
I hate it.
yeah,
I feel like it's just like it's shitty when you get up in the morning and it's dark and then you leave work and it's dark. It's like your life is dark.
I just hate having like I don't know. I'm always like I plan to get somewhere. Like in all honesty, if I'm going somewhere, I'm either planning to get there at the exact minute or about 5 to 10 minutes after I'm supposed to be there. So I hate having to well, you gotta fucking warm your car up and go out there and take the shit off and shovel it out and all. I'm like, and I just hate living where it hurts to be outside, and
Yes.
it hurts to be outside probably like 3 to 4 months a fucking year where I live. So
I feel that and I totally get that. Like I hate going out and doing the snow removal and turn I gas, it ain't fucking cheap. So
nope.
like we're warming our shit up for like 10 minutes, before we have to go.
Yeah. Or you're like dangerously driving through like a little hole this big and I do it all the time, and there's like a half a foot of like snow on my roof and I'm just blowing it in the back to some other guy's windshield, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck you, fuck everybody on this road.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck you all.
I just turn into I don't care. Like I'm doing the bare minimum during the winter months.
I feel you. And I used to love to go outside and like do shit. And now I'm just like, I ain't fucking going anywhere unless it's worth me leaving.
Oh, and I think that's just getting older because like I used to I used to ski and snowboard, and like
Yeah.
I'm not like a person who's like I'm good at being athletic. Absolutely fucking not. But I was actually pretty good at like skiing and snowboarding. But like, and like people still invite me every now and then. Like my brother goes every year, and he's like, "Hey, you want to come with me?" And I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Like
Of
I got
course
to
I
go
do.
out there and sit on a snow mountain? No."
Yeah, like my ass is gonna sit on the couch.
Yes, exactly.
I'll turn on the Yule log and act like I'm enjoying a crisp fire. Like, no fucking thank you.
Yeah, the closest I'm getting to that is watching like Ski School, like at 2 in the morning. Like if you've never seen it, it's a great movie. It's terrible, but it's great.
Like out cold.
It's like the original Out Cold, just more boobs. But it's pretty good.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that we finally get to because I know we did our watch along. We watched Driller Killer.
Yep, we did our watch along. So this is going to be, as you dubbed it. I think you deserve credit. So this, even though they'll see it in the title, but
Well, I thought about it. It's like, I feel like we suffer it all the time. Like every year. It's a Halloween hangover, because it's so exciting when it's like October. It's that time of year. Like horror communities thrive in that. And then we get hit with November. And it's like a hangover in like the saddest way because you just still want it to be spooky season.
agreed. And also, like, I feel like for a horror fan like
Mhm.
ourselves,
Yeah.
in particular, it just becomes there's so much that you are either watching for the first time, you're rewatching because it's a classic. You just become like overloaded, like with like as content creators, like there's just not enough time to talk about everything that we do in that month, you know?
Absolutely. And yes, and you're right. And I feel like that's a time to thrive. But then there's so much that it's like you feel overwhelmed. And you also want to enjoy it in the same token. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. And then, typically there's not much of a refractory period, which I only know that in the sense of coming. So I don't know if I use that word correct, but uh, uh,
I love it.
but there isn't much of a refractory period between October, Halloween spooky month
Yep.
for horror movie fans, because there's a lot of Christmas themed horror almost every year. There's new ones or classic ones. And then this year we also got a big old helping of turkey, thanks to Mr. Eli Roth. So it's not like they're just, it's a lot of stuff going on in our circle of things we kind of pay attention to.
Absolutely. And I don't want to jump the gun, and I don't want to like hop right into Christmas horror because I feel like that's a leap. Like I want to still savor what's left of October, like, get that sauce still. And like you said though, we're lucky enough to get a Thanksgiving slasher.
Yeah, I mean, because especially a big budget one,
Yes.
that's in theaters, like, because there are other Thanksgiving horror movies,
Mhm.
but like, I truthfully, like, okay, I love Thanksgiving, but like, let's be real. Uh,
That's the type of movies that we love, and like Polter
oh, Poultrygeist, yeah.
Poultry, yes. And like, what else is like a good Thanksgiving?
So I'm like, the only other ones I can really think of are like ones that just kind of take place around it, but it's not themed Thanksgiving. Like, Your Next takes place at Thanksgiving. We got a soundtrack.
Uh,
Uh,
it's apparently my TikTok. How do I stop it?
Jordana, you are the TikTok associate of this podcast. I don't. I've made 2 in my life.
I can't get out of it, but I was in it and I shut it off. I was just looking for because there are Thanksgiving. I've looked it up. There are Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, but I feel like they all like mostly just take place sort of around the holiday, but are not themed by the holiday, unless I'm wrong. Like
No,
that.
you're right.
Your next is that's what gets them in the house.
Yep.
The other one, which I reviewed on my short-lived podcast before you and I partnered up, which Jesus, it was the worst movie that we did. Like we actually, I'm sorry, we hated the movie so much that we did not release the episode. It was
Really?
yes, it was Blood Rage. Have you ever seen Blood Rage?
No, but I've heard of it and I'm seeing if it's on this list.
It's like got 5 different names because they've re-released it like 7 times, like 5 to 7 times, like under different names. But Blood Rage is the most popular name. I think it was also called like Camp Murder or some fucking dumb name. Like,
Oh my god. Blood Rage? Let me look this up because I gotta see this.
yeah, it's like most famous. Again, it just happens to take place at Thanksgiving. The only thing that you would even know, the reason it has any ties to it is like the most famous line from this piece of shit movie is that like he has like blood on him at some point, and people keep going like, you know, that's not cranberry sauce. There's something about, I can't even remember what the line is, but like everyone seems to like see this man covered in blood and they have to be like, ha, 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 that's cranberry sauce. And you're like, fuck you.
Oh my fucking. Is it like an 87 movie?
It's from the 80s. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. The thing is it looks promising as like the cover because it looks like a really good
Yeah.
80s movie. And then now with your seal of disapproval of a campy movie, fuck it. Fuck
Maybe
Blood Rage.
people will like it. I mean, I'm seeing people like post about it. And I think again, like right now, I'm seeing people like do like their little like cosplays and stuff with it. I just saw one with a girl who did it with like a bowl of cranberry sauce. Totally cool. I'm
Yeah,
glad you guys have fun with it. And maybe it's just me. Like I love campy slasher 80s. That's like my jam. But like I
yeah.
remember when I watched that with Brett and I was like, literally we did the episode and we were just like what do we say? Like this isn't fun. This isn't like it's not a fun bad movie. It's not there just wasn't enough meat on the bone and I hated it.
Well, then we definitely don't need to discuss that one. But there's like on this list, there's Pilgrim, and
Never.
it's 2019, excuse me. It looks kind of cool.
Jesus. Wow.
I know. And then there's Black Friday. They classified that as a Thanksgiving movie because,
Yeah, that I because that's all lumped into that weekend. I think that's fair.
yep. And then there's like Derelicts 2017 that looks like an 80s cover. Um, they also have Planet Terror on here.
Planet
Um,
Terror.
yeah, The Oath and Buzzard Hollow Beef.
Oh,
So,
that one sounds awesome.
and
I
it's literally
Planet
just
Terror?
like, yeah, they
I
have
don't
that on there.
it's been a while since I've seen it. I Oh, you know why it's on there? It's because the Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
trailer is on there. That's why it's on there.
Now,
I'm like, neither one of those movies took place at Thanksgiving.
I know, and I was trying to like, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, what connection does it have
Yeah,
except for the
yeah.
fucking Grindhouse trailer that is now 16 years later, an actual movie, which I'm going to see it with the fam Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, see, I so cannot wait because I oh, tell me how it is. I hope to go see it. Because fuck, you guys can probably ascertain where I work by based on this fucking statement, but this is a really busy time of year for me. So I may not make it to the theaters for it, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to see it because that was by far my favorite trailer from the Grindhouse movie, and I've been wanting this fucking movie for 16 years.
Seriously. And then I watched a little clip of Eli Roth talking about it that just made it even more like appealing, from us wanting it for so long, and him talking about like being a kid and having that lull in between October and December for horror movies. And he wanted to do like a fun slasher like Scream with humor, and he wanted the deaths to not be so over the top and serious. So like him saying all that, I'm like, this is gonna be fucking gold. Like I'm so excited. Can't wait.
I'm excited too. I wonder if it's going to, because obviously the trailer didn't give you anything hardly.
Yeah.
I wonder if they are going to incorporate scenes from the trailer into the movie, or if they're just like, we're just doing a Thanksgiving thing. I'm good either way, but like I kind
Right.
of do want the scene in the trailer, the original trailer. I have actually not watched the full trailer because I don't want to.
Well,
But
that's good call.
I figured 16-year-old trailer, we can talk about that one.
Yeah.
The scene with the cheerleader and the knife through the trampoline where she's like bouncing up and down and it looks like her hoo-ha or her butthole is about to land on the knife. I'm like, oh, that looks fucking great.
I hope that we get something like that. But he
Yeah.
said that I don't know if it scares me or if it makes me excited, but because I feel like with the success of Terrifier 2, people want this like gore level. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that when it comes to Terrifier 2, but I'm okay also with like the not so super intense deaths. Like I want a death where it's something like that where it's left to the imagination, and yes, maybe we see it but we're just like, yes. And he said that he screened a killing and he wanted the reaction of people like, woo, and super excited, and he said no one reacted. It was super like serious. He's like, we have to cut that and we have to make it like enjoyable. We have to bring that element to it. So
Yeah, like I get you. Like he had to retune it to fit whatever, because obviously we don't know what the whole tone really is yet. But
exactly.
yeah, I don't know. I trust Eli. I like pretty much everything he's ever made, even some of his more questionable ones I've always enjoyed. I really wish he had gotten to make the Meg, because that was
Yeah.
his like dream movie, because he's a big shark activist, but we're not talking about sharks right now.
But that would have been an awesome connection to have him do it.
Well, I'm gonna go a little out of order the way we're planning, but you brought up Terrifier 2. Do we want to talk a little bit about Terrifier 3 news, also linking in with Christmas and the supposed controversy that's going on right now? We're
You don't have to
Yeah.
ask me ever if I want to talk about anything fire related, because I'm going to say, fuck, yes, I do. So excited.
So Terrifier 3 obviously coming out. We've already addressed it. I love that we called it we didn't call it. We pitched in our live. We're like, man, wouldn't it be great if they did a fucking Christmas one? And boom, here it is. And
Yes.
about 1/3 of the fan base is shitting their pants over it, whatever.
I know. And then
Uh,
everyone else is like up in arms already. I'm like,
yeah.
you haven't even, you've seen a literal 2-minute clip. How are you going to just like immediately dismiss this movie after like, ugh.
The the people who are dismissing it, I just feel like be honest with yourselves. Like
Mhm.
I've seen people, and again, all for everyone's opinions, fine, but like I've seen people be like, well, it's messing with the lore. I'm like, fuck your lore. There is no lore to these movies. There's about, like I said, the last movie, it asked more questions than it answered, and by answered, it answered zero fucking questions. So there is no lore. So I'm sorry that, oh, they've changed what you have made the lore up in your mind to be. There
Exactly.
is no lore. There was a magic sword introduced in the last 7 minutes.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what drives me nuts because I feel like there's never like any pleasing anyone because, but like people are shitting on All Hallows Eve, people shit on the first one, people shit on the second one. It's like, can't you just like accept
Spoiler
things?
alert for later in this episode.
Like, can't you guys just let things be? Like maybe there isn't supposed to be a specific thing with this. Maybe it was meant to be like, hey, this really doesn't have a fucking premise because I'm putting all my eggs in one basket with Art as a villain. So here's this. And maybe I don't want to have a final girl in this one. Maybe I just want to kill her like 2/3 into the movie. And then I'm gonna give you a fucking huge like lump of like characters, storylines, questions, like you said, and now we're going fucking Christmas. Like, come on.
Like, I here's the thing. I can understand where the like anger maybe comes
Yep.
from when people saw that, because I get it. The second
Yeah.
movie made me a fan. I have not been a fan of Terrifier 1. We'll get to my thoughts on All Hallows Eve that I watched for the very first time later. Um
Yes.
uh but I love Terrifier 2. It doesn't answer any questions though. I mean,
No.
if you really look at the movie, it's a much more structured story, but it
Yeah.
asked all these questions, or it asked even more questions. And I think that there's a certain fan base that is somewhat justifiable in saying they thought the next movie was going to be answers to those questions.
Right.
Well, I'm getting the impression from the director that he may not know the answer to these questions. So he's just kind of, we're getting what we get, and you should just maybe just wait till you see it and hope to God maybe there's an answer in there. And if not, just strap in and hopefully you enjoy a ride on Santa's fucking sleigh.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too, is like I'm not discriminatory when it comes to Christmas horror. Like there's like so many movies in the Christmas setting that aren't really like that make the most sense, but they're fun to watch because of the aesthetic of it. Like I think just already picturing Art's craziness with like Christmas colors and snow and like the red. I'm super pumped just for the visuals. And I don't even know what's gonna happen, but like I am over the moon excited for even when we saw the Terrifier 3 come up, it reminded me of Black Christmas.
Oh yeah,
Like old
100%.
school. You know what I mean? Like I'm just I'm in the position where just let me give me what you're giving.
I
Let's
I
see.
also suspect. Think of it this way. I mean, Terrifier is also in a large way also like a super fucked up comedy, and
Yes.
like you're going to give. I mean, this setting is going to give Art a whole new set of weird fucked up tools to do darkly soup. I mean, remember the mashed potato fucking scene in 2? Now he's got cranberries and ham and stockings and reindeers, and who knows, I wouldn't be surprised if he literally murdered actual Santa Claus in the movie. So
Give me
like,
that and decorate the tree because I heard room was ready. I want like a head on the top of the tree. I want body parts in the tree decorated. I just want it. Like I am if you couldn't tell, I'm really excited for this movie. So
I think we both are. I actually thought it
I'm
was coming
pumped.
out this year.
I did read too that he's taking away.
Oh, oh, you're
Am I good now?
you're
I
good now.
froze.
You're back. You're back.
I read that he is taking away the fantasy element.
I I
He's
mean,
he's not going to yeah, he's not going to focus so much on the fantasy realm. So maybe he took the criticism of everyone being like, what the fuck was a sword? And maybe he's going to just kind of like
I
write it
hmm,
off.
I mean, I get it. I'm not gonna at this point. I'm just in for the ride. I don't like I have now I believe I've watched now every Damien Leone movie. I like 2. And I will just say that I don't quite know if he structurally knows how to connect certain things together, but whatever.
Yes.
Um, I, uh, I like fantasy elements. I mean, there's been what do you consider a fantasy element? Just, I mean, the magic sword, the clown cafe, the dream Freddy Krueger powers that he had. All of a sudden, I mean, that because he also
Yeah.
like, you know, fucking died in the first one or Terrifier 1 and then like got up off the table. So like we know he's an unkillable thing. And
But
then they also fucking that lady farted him out of her baby maker.
queefed him out. He queefed him out the baby maker.
So like I'm just like, where are we drawing the line and because I kind of want to know what the fucking sword is about, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get that answer.
I don't know if you will either, but arguably, I'll just say this, like, it's not too far off from like horror villains that we've seen in the past because Jason, like, he's superhuman, and we have no idea really what has caused him to have that ability to be superhuman. And like, somewhat with Michael, I mean, a lot of the horror characters are so I get that part, but you're right. Like, what was the purpose of giving us 2 hours and 25 minutes with a sword? So we're like, well, what the fuck does this mean? And then not so, but again, just reading that, I don't know if that meant like he's taking away from like explaining the sword or what aspect that he's not going to focus on. So I don't know.
Yeah, we know that it is going to be Sienna again, so we at least
Yes.
know that dynamic is going to be still good and evil. Like that's still going to be explored. So there is potential that we do get answers to some of these questions.
I just want to know the connecting dots between them. I want to know like what the family dynamic is, the little pale girl. Like those are like my if I had to like list what I want answered, it would be the family connection, like the dad. I want all that explained. I want the little pale girl explained. I'd like to know that, and I wouldn't mind Art's origin story, but at this point, if it's just him killing people and it's a wild ride and it's visually just like appealing and fun, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'll be fine with it either way. I think I don't know. I think this is really again, I think the biggest flaw of 2
Mhm.
is that any movie, whether it's a good take the Freddy movies as an example.
Yeah.
Each one of those movies has a beginning, middle, and end. By the
Yes.
end of the movie, all of the answers that you need are in that fucking hour and a half, and maybe at the end they sprinkle a little bit to get you into the next one.
Yes.
2 did 2.5 fucking hours, never answered a single question. So I think there's some people who are like, they feel like they deserve to get the answers. And it's like, if you would answer them in the second, I think if you had answered those movies or those questions in the second movie, made that a self-contained story, I think everybody would be on board for Santa fucking Art. But
Yes. But I just feel like there's going to be haters no matter what. And there's people that are just going to be totally not wanting it because it's not the Halloween and it's different, but sometimes different isn't bad,
no,
and it could be the worst one out of all of
that's
them. So,
that's we all need to brace ourselves for that possibility.
but you know what, too? It's okay because if we had Terrifier 2 just to propel and just to give us that, I'm happy with that too. I can't, you know what I mean? Like for me, 2023 has been such a like weird year for horror because nothing has really like done it for me quite like Terrifier 2 or the movies in 2022 that were on my list. I don't, and we'll get into that, but I don't really feel like that.
I think I agree. I think it was a better year for horror last year, I think. But
Yes.
it's hard to always go back though. Now, speaking of Terrifier, let's keep it going here. What about the supposed this is the actual controversy I was referring to. Now, granted, some of the fans are self-immolating themselves over fucking Art being in a Santa outfit, but I'm referring to 2 bits of information. One
Yes.
of which has already been debunked, so I just want to go over like okay, first let's just knock this one out. Did you see
Okay.
the one that went viral because they fucking some stupid clickbaity bullshit fucking website said a scene in Terrifier 3 is causing outrage, blah, 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 blah. And then it was one fucking person on Twitter who hasn't seen the movie yet, is a high schooler, tweeted that if you think that kind of shit is good, basically like unfollow me. And then this clickbaity bullshit fucking company, whatever their fucking name was, I don't want to give them anything, ran with it. And then everybody was going, oh, there's all this outrage about Terrifier. There was one fucking little sad nerd tweeting about it.
That like annoyed me because you know what, like, cool, if that's not your cup of tea, awesome, but like I don't think that you have like that many followers if you're being such an asshole, first
Yeah.
off. Secondly, like, who, if you don't like it, cool, like, that's
Don't
awesome.
tell me I'm a bad person because I do like it.
That's my problem, because it goes right back, and I love how we always have our touching points in our show, because I always feel like we bring up Terrifier and Halloween Ends. But like, I didn't like Halloween Ends. And then so these people are telling me, you don't understand it. You're not a real Halloween fan. You can go fuck yourself with a fucking rusty dildo and not have a tetanus shot, because fuck you. I am a Halloween fan, and it was garbage. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it.
I think it's the more popular opinion as well, but yes.
I know. I love that. I love that wave of like the people that just wanted to like appease everyone. They're like, "Oh, I really enjoyed it." And now people are like, "Oh, that was actual dog shit." Like, that
Yeah,
was not good.
that's pretty
But
bad.
you know what I'm exactly, like, we're allowed to have our own opinions, but don't project and say other people are bad if they don't follow what you follow.
100%. That's just so. I just want to go. If you saw that tweet or that
I
article
did.
going around, for anyone listening, if you didn't look further into it, it's complete bullshit. I mean, they got what they
Mhm.
wanted. They got people to click and talk about it, but they
Yeah.
literally based the entire article off of one person's tweet, who is not like a film critic. It's one random person on Twitter who was just like, I don't think it's. I don't like it, and if you like it, don't like me. And I was like.
Done. Because I don't like you. I don't even know who the fuck you are.
Now, the other thing,
Yes.
what do you think about the supposed report that Terrifier 3 has lost some of its funding from the big companies who were going to help distribute it, supposedly over the content of the movie? Because I have thoughts.
I think that's like, I think it's I think it reflects poorly on them, because I think they're gonna miss out, because I think no matter where this movie is quality-wise, there's gonna be a mass amount of people going to see this movie. So if you don't wanna fund it, too bad, because Damien Leone is gonna fund it himself, and Leone, excuse me. Damien Leone is gonna fund it, and he's going to make money again like he did last time. And I will say this too, if people are flipping out about the supposed kid getting killed in the beginning scene, because that's what like they're thinking is that the opening is going to be like this kid getting murdered. Freddy Krueger, 2 words, Freddy Krueger. Like, he's a fucking pedophile that kills kids,
Yeah.
teenagers. Like, we've seen children getting murdered in movies before. We've seen horror movies with with kids getting killed. It's not like it's a new fucking thing. Like, I don't know.
The
I just think
boogie,
it's,
literally the base, the boogeyman. Like, come on.
come on. Like, this
Why is
whole
it?
fund.
Why is it okay? Okay, and I have a thought real quick, but that I have an outside the box thought. But why is it okay if this is true? Which I don't think
Yep.
it is. Personally, I think this is all marketing to get people more excited.
Me too.
But I if this is true, then why is Terrifier punished for doing it? Yet when that and it was fine, whatever it was called, Ghost Phone or whatever the fuck the Stephen King one was, or Stephen King's son's movie. I can't remember what it was called. But with Ethan Hawke and the Ghost Phone,
Oh,
where he
Black Phone.
murders kids.
And that was like one of on people's list their favorite of the year. And he literally is killing children.
The whole movie is him killing children. His
That's
victim list is literally exclusively children.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh God. Alexa's talking now. She's listening to our conversation. She's like, fuck this shit. But no, like,
You wanted to order Five Nights at Freddy's?
done.
Alexa, order Five Nights at Freddy's on Blu-ray.
Done. No, but like, no, you make such a good point, and I didn't even think of Black Phone. But and also, if they're like afraid it's going to be done in like a gory way, I mean, Black Christmas 2006, there's incest of like a small child. And that's like some people love that remake. There's all I
You
don't
love that remake.
I do.
You are some people.
I love that. But listen, here's my thing. You could have cut out the whole rocking chair scene where it's like that awkward in between like him and his mom, but
Mhm.
like you could have implied it and added that like gross grittiness to it, and I would have been fine with it.
Oh yeah.
Not that I'm like, but this shit happens. Like I don't want to think about it, but this shit happens in real life. So like it's an entertainment value. I don't know. I don't know.
Now, well, I think all of that is fair point, but okay, so here's what I think.
Yes.
This is all bullshit. And this is marketing. They didn't
Totally.
lose any funding. They didn't. The marketing people. Come on, you saw the maybe they didn't see the first one, but they definitely saw the second one after it made $10 million. Somebody
Yep.
paid attention, saw the fucking movie, and said, "Oh, well, we can get in on this and make this even bigger." So don't tell like as if they were like shocked that it was going to be a violent. And plus, it's they also get away with having their cake and eating it too, because it's not like Terrifier ever gets commercials. Terrifier 2 didn't have like, I mean, granted, there was a
Anything.
trailer, but it's not like you could go to the theater. You didn't go to a theater and you saw a trailer for Terrifier before you saw the Rock movie, you know?
Or like a
Like,
Marvel movie or like a yes, exactly. It's not like you're seeing any of and you probably won't, as much as Terrifier is big now, you probably won't see that happening. You'll probably just see like the organic homemade, like whatever Damien puts out,
yeah.
and that's going to be the only thing circulating.
And you'll see stuff on the internet that is targeted at you. I don't believe that you're going to, because of how extreme the movie's probably going to be, they're
Mhm.
not going to target this movie at a wide audience. They're going to cast their net over the people that they know,
Yep.
and probably, if they know the last one made $10 million, well, let's see if we can make this one make 20, like that. I don't think they think they're going to break like Avatar's fucking record. Like,
Exactly. I mean, and let's be honest too. Like, I don't know. It's just like you said. I think it's a whole marketing thing. Which whatever. I don't think that they need to even do that because with the success of two, like people who didn't even care about it before that now love it now. It's just I don't know. I try to avoid all that bullshit and not look too far into it because if it's true, their loss. If it's false, it's working.
it's a tactic that's been used for years. I mean, decades. Like I can't remember how many times I've heard like people were throwing up in the theater about like I can't even remember what movies they were, but like you always hear about that. Like, oh, the people were so offended they left the theater, and it's like, really? Because I don't remember that happen. And like I even remember hearing like I recently was watching this thing about Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
The Stephen King movie with the trucks, and it's
Yeah.
fun, but it's dumb and relatively harmless.
Yeah.
But they had a quote that said like George Romero like put it out there, who was, by the way, good buddies with Stephen King. So I wonder why he said this, but like was
Yeah.
like, oh, I actually got sick to my stomach when watching the original cut of that movie. My fucking ass, you did. But all the horror movies, all the horror nerds in the 80s were probably like, ooh, it's gonna be super violent. And then they went there and like the most violent thing is like a soda can like crushing a guy's head or hitting
That
him in the
movie was
crotch.
not violent at all. It was ridiculous. I just watched that not too long ago.
It's awesome
As
though.
as a first, yeah, and I said that to Greg. I'm like, this is awesome, but it's not scary
No.
by any means. But like, and the other thing that pisses me off too is these people that are like just targeting Terrifier as extreme gore. It's like, have you seen The Sadness? That was like a huge Shutter fucking hit that was based off of sexual assault. Like when you get this infection, you sexually assault people to the point of you fuck someone's eyeball out.
Oh,
That's
no.
okay.
I didn't see that, but
I thought
uh
you did.
I'm not seeing the sadness. No.
Ju- I just spoiled that, and
I
I'm sorry.
Yep, Jordana. First of all, don't have to worry about that. Second of all, the movie show, I don't even know what it is. It's a movie or show. I thought it was a show, but whatever.
It's a
I've
movie, but like,
It's been
come
out for
on.
like 2 years. Like it's fine.
But like, this is the shit that just irks me. Then you have so you have The Sadness. You have oh my god, where was Speak No Evil that's getting a remake already, like
Mhm.
a mainstream remake, and that's about fucking killing kids. Like, leave this shit alone. Like, if it's not your cup of tea, then just don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about the pot. Let everyone else enjoy it. Like, stop making it something that it's not, because like, yeah, Terrifier 2 was gory, but was it the most extreme thing I've ever seen? No. Was it the most like controversial? No. I mean, there's a Serbian film. People really want to get fucking
Well, yeah,
crazy. Like, the guy fucks his kid and killed, like, come on. Like,
I'm gonna have to bleep so much shit from this fucking episode.
I'm sorry.
So much shit.
But it's true. Like, it blows my mind. It just blows my mind that we're
I
just
mean,
like harping on a clown that's like killing people.
which we haven't even seen the movie yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Also, it's probably going to be, if at all, it's probably going to be one scene. He has already said, now granted, I don't know how much I trust him, but it did come from his chicken lips. It's that the franchise going forward is about Art versus Sienna. So like, that's what he says it's going to be about. I have lots of reasons to not believe him, but I'm going to go with it.
But like, if he is speaking truth with those chicken lips, I'll be happy, because Sienna is such a badass final girl
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
and I love her. And you know what's, I hate saying this, if he kills her, which you never know with him, if he's going to like continue with her. I mean, I could say that it would be stupid if he didn't, but like, if he gives us that, I would commend him for it, because at least he has the balls to do something like that.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it'll make people upset, but at least he has the balls to do it, because no one killed Laurie Strode.
I mean, I'm not, neither here nor for it. I mean, I
I'm
think,
not either,
I
but
truthfully think that her brother shouldn't make it out of this one, but that's just me.
and
Super nice
that's
kid. Seems like a nice kid. He pops up in my feed all the time, but I'm sorry. I think you gotta go, buddy.
someone big has to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're complete. I'm glad that you said that, because you're completely right. So yes.
Um. Well, so that's our thoughts on Terrifier. I want to get your thoughts on something here. This is random, but I very much I want to. We're gonna try a couple new things here. So we're gonna go with a hard hitting question here, Jordana. And for the audio listeners, just you're gonna we'll describe this for you in a minute. But Jordana, my question for you is, would you put this in your mouth?
I just got so scared for a second. I was like, I don't know if I want to see that. Yes.
Uh,
Yes, I would. That
okay.
is
Can you describe this for what the fucking? I found this earlier today and I was like, holy shit.
okay, especially with this one in the corner with a goddamn frothy looking beer. Like, hello. So it's a Jaws hot dog, and it has the holder is the Jaws cover, and then it's a fucking shark crispy bun, like a crescent roll, and then there's a hot dog hanging out of its mouth.
it's it's so weird.
It's amazing.
Like yeah, so the bun is perfectly formed to look like a shark, like Bruce the shark,
Yep.
but like in a very disturbing manner, the hot dog is just like jammed down its fucking throat. Like
The top is like limp. It's like meh.
this is apparently a snack, which I'm mad about, but this is apparently exclusive to Universal Studios Japan. Which I'm like, why is this? I mean, don't tell me the fat Americans. I'd be eating this shit immediately when I was there.
I would get like 3 of these. Not in one sitting, but I would literally like just go back to it and go back to it and go back to it.
Yeah.
I am pissed that Japan still has Jaws. Like, they have Harry Potter over there, correct?
Yeah.
So how the fuck are we so greedy and think that we just need all Harry Potter and had to completely cut out Jaws? Like, we need Universal. I say this all the time. Universal needs to make a land, because they're doing like the new Epic Universe. They need to make a retro land of all the rides that have been discontinued. So they need to have Jaws, Back to the Future, The Jetson, or Hanna-Barbera,
King Kong.
King Kong. What else am I missing? I feel like there's like a shit ton. Twister, Terminator 2. I could go on, but they should have a land for like a vintage for the people that were there in the beginning and have all the Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters, all the shows in one land. So if you don't want to go to the new stuff and you don't give a fuck about Harry Potter, you can go ride Jaws.
I mean, granted, it's like us just pitching it is like
Yeah.
probably like a $2 billion investment, but like I would be for it. Like I heard another pitch very recently that was similar, and it was another podcaster, and he pitched, and I was like, it's the best fucking idea I've ever heard. He's
What?
like, he's like, you go to Disney World or Disneyland, whichever one,
Mhm.
and he's like, it's just he goes exponentially, everything is just beyond crowded and packed. He's like, so here's my pitch. He goes, they're already buying up all the land around it anyway. He's like, just build Park 2. Have Park 2 be right next to Park 1, and it's an exact copy of Park 1. And I'm like, that's fucking amazing. Like, I'm like, that's perfect. Like, and that way, lines are shorter, more people are in there. And I'm like, I mean, granted, again, like a $2 billion investment, but like, let's fucking do it.
But you're doubling your revenue because you're going to get that back because people are going to go there. Why am I drawing a blank? It's so funny you say that because who was I talking to? And they said that it's getting to the point of crowded at Disney that they are going to deny adults who don't have kids on the weekends because it's so hard for people to get into the park because now like you have to do like a virtual wait, like you have to
Yeah.
like put your if you want to ride a fucking ride, you have to like put your name in to go ride it.
I've heard some insane they have like their premium member thing where
Yeah.
certain clubs you can only get into if you're part of that. I've heard that because of the exclusivity of it, and like they have to keep raising the price to keep it, like otherwise it's just like you're paying for this exclusivity, but now everybody's fucking there. So like I heard that I don't know what they call it now. I think it used to be called like a Buzz Lightyear Flash Pass. Who knows what the fuck they call it? Like
Yeah.
Remy's asshole. But
I
I
like that
the
one.
last I heard is that to get that pass now for 1 year, it is $25,000. Yeah,
20, not 2,500,
no,
25,000.
$25,000 is the last thing I had heard. I was listening to a podcast about rides and about everything, about all this shit. Now I don't know if that's true or not. In fact, check it, but whatever. You can listen to it. Podcast The Ride is the name of it. Great show, great fucking podcast. They review parks and everything, and they were talking
Okay.
about. It said it was $25,000 to be on that premium whatever thing that gives you exclusive access to certain areas of the park, like which even the guys that were on the show were like, at this point, there's so little that's actually exclusive to it. Like the biggest thing you get is you get access to the Blue Bayou restaurant, which is the Pirates of the Caribbean restaurant,
Oh
which you
God.
pretty much have to book. Like if you want any chance to get into it without being part of this club, you have to
Yep.
literally book it like a year and a half in advance.
See, now to me, that is complete and utter bullshit. And the sad thing is people will pay that much. People will pay
Oh,
25,000.
Disney freaks, absolutely.
Like, and I'm all like team Universal, even though like I literally fucking grew up in Disney because my dad worked at the Mexican Pavilion, my mom worked at Pleasure Island. I was there like all the goddamn time, and I was at Universal all the goddamn time. To see how much it is, to see how crazy people like I have no zero like negative 25 interest in going to Disney. Like I absolutely will not do it. How much they charge you, how much food is, the lines and having to like sell your soul to go on fucking Tinkerbell's ride. No thanks.
I'm with you. I mean, I always preferred Universal anyway when I went, but like it also just it feels like less of a hat. Like I don't know, Disney's just and I trust me, it would be fun. It would be fun to go to the park if the park was better, but it's just
And accessible.
there's too many people. There's everything costs too much because they're having to raise the prices to do all this shit. I will say I did the funniest part I heard about that whole like $25,000 thing is
Mhm.
apparently there was like this I think in the history of it there was one couple that got kicked out, and they were an older couple and
Oh God.
they weren't like rich, like they were an older couple who just like that's what they did, they got this thing every year. But
Yep.
part of it was that I guess part of that thing of that exclusivity was like you get to bring X amount of people to the park every year for free, or you get to bring people like 2 or 3 people you can bring like with you as guests every time
Yeah.
for free. You don't have to charge. But like
Oh,
I guess
wow.
they were bringing like just like literally they would bring, like they said, between like 200 and 300 people a year, like literally like just like, oh hey, walking down the street, hey, you want to go to Disney with us? Okay, cool. And then like they
Oh,
would
yeah.
just get, and then they did the math on it, and they're like, well, 300 people times what they would have paid to get into the park, and like,
Losing that money,
yeah.
but you know what? Awesome for those people who know that there's some people that cannot afford that shit, and that's like a dream of theirs, or there's kids that can't go, and that's awesome that they brought them for free because I think it's greedy. Let's be fucking real for a minute. There's families that can't afford this shit. Even if they saved, they still cannot afford to go to Disney. And think of like maybe that's some kid's dream. Like that's bullshit. Like you should have some, I don't want to say like a sliding scale, but there should be some way where like you can take your like a credit check, take your income and be like, okay, for a family of, blah blah blah, we'll charge you this much. So at least they could go. Like I don't know. Maybe that's bad business and
No,
I would lose business, but
I mean well, that's the thing. It's theoretically, I
all
guess,
money
yes,
to
it,
them.
it would be bad business, but you have a soul and a heart, and that's why you're not a tycoon, because they have no souls or hearts. But like everything's like that now. Just like it's becoming so insane. Like just today, I had like I was like, this can't be real.
Hmm.
Like I haven't gone to a concert since pre-pandemic.
Yep.
And I'm a big emo fucking fan, and 30 Seconds to Mars is going on tour with Poppy and AFI. I don't really give a shit about AFI, but I like the other two.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, cool, maybe that'll be something I'll go to. And I look
Yeah.
up their ticket price, and I'm like, I'm old, I don't need to be up at the front, so I'm like, let me
Hmm.
like click. I clicked literally the back row,
Hmm.
and it's now on Live Nation because they got in trouble for all those hidden fees. Now,
Yep.
instead of just fucking you in the ass and not telling you about it,
Hmm.
now it shows you like, oh, this is what your actual payout will be. Ticket price $60. Checkout price 133 for one ticket. I'm like, so I'm spending more in fees than I am on the fucking ticket.
And that blows my mind because where are these fees going?
Straight to the venue.
And like into people's pockets because who else were we, oh my god, I'm having such a brain fart. There was, oh, I watched this thing on Grubhub and it's not the same, but I feel you. It's like um like the tip, the thing's already added and there's like all these fees, and this girl did like, I'll have to send you the video. She did the calculation. She's like, so if you had X amount of full-time employees and you were charging this set price for as many order, and it's all like public, it's all public knowledge on their sale revenue. So she calculated it and she's like, if I'm too spaced out to give exact numbers, but like the big head honchos could make like $1 million a year, and then all the other people that worked could make like $129,000 just solely based on.
On what they're bringing, like their fees and their pay structure.
Yes, and she broke it down. She's like, "So where are these fees? Where are they going to?" And they're going into the companies, the big wigs pockets. I feel like it's the same goddamn way with concerts, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like
and
you
I've
can't even go and enjoy a show, and you go, and if you want to get a bottle of water, it's fucking $10. You want to have a beer, it's 22. Like,
Well, and at least that I've always been prepared for that, that
right.
that end of the butt fucking, like
Yes.
like
But
that's
the tickets
always,
are usually lower.
well, yeah, like I mean, and like I've heard that the artists aren't happy about it either because that money isn't going to them. That goes to the venue. Like I've heard, I
Yeah.
think Taylor Swift like fought back on it, if I'm correct. I mean, I don't like Taylor Swift. We talked about this before. I don't dislike her, but I'm T Swift out right now.
I just want to say real quick in your thought. I think it's a crime that Taylor Swift is shoved in everyone's faces. And I went from before to not just saying I just don't like her. I fucking hate Taylor Swift. If I see her again in a store, I go into Target and it's like her face, and she's on every magazine. I don't give a fuck about this person. I don't like her music. Today, Rosalind, they played it in school, and she's like, "What about the people that don't like Taylor Swift? Like, why do we have to be subjected to it?" I said, "Oh, I'm with you, girlfriend," and she's
100%.
dying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to vent
No.
because I am like, I could hear about Taylor Swift like on the Titanic when she has her little blue jewel when she's 85, and I'd be fine. I don't want to hear any more shit from her ever.
I'm with you. I mean, it's not my style of music. It's not my style of anything. She is right now just being fucking shoved down our throats. But as far as like fighting back against bad
Yes.
policies, she is
Yes.
good. Like, I have to give her props. She seems like a great person. I'll at least go with that. Well, maybe
Mhm.
her 75 ex-boyfriends say differently,
Think differently.
yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I've heard that like she is trying to like fight to keep she tried to fight. I don't know if she won or not to keep the ticket prices relatively sane, but I'm sure for her they're still like $300, but whatever.
People paid like $1,200. Like people took out credit cards and loans to go see her. Like like you said, it's absurd. Back in the day, you could go to like a big show, and if you wanted the back nosebleeds or the higher ups, it was like what, 80 max, like $75 was like the starting point, right?
I mean, I think it also depends on the genre that you liked. Like when I was growing up, I mean, I never saw a band for probably more than $50.
That's the way to do it.
But I mean, I was listening to, pop punk and screamo and emo bands, and like, I mean, maybe the most expensive concert I think I went to when I was like like a teenager, youngish age. It was like I saw Marilyn Manson. That was probably like 80 or $90.
Yeah, and that's I would pay that to go like I paid that to go see Jay-Z a couple times, and I got a little bit more.
Imagine what he would cost now.
And I'm glad that I saw him when I did, because I couldn't afford it now, and I'm glad I saw Beyonce when I saw her, because people flew to another fucking country to see her because it was too expensive here. Like I'm good with small shows. Like I saw Queen Herbie for $35, and like there was fees, but I think it was like the max was like 42. It wasn't a lot, and I got to see her for that amount. I'm fucking happy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just an insane markup. I just think it's crazy that like, when I was in my 20s, I could see Blink 182 for like 35, $40.
Yeah.
And now when they went on, granted, I get it. They just got back together. Woo. But like again, the tickets were like 200, $300. And it's like, don't you have enough? Like,
You're greedy motherfuckers. Can't you just let us live our lives? I know Green Day is going on tour with Rancid and Smashing Pumpkins, and they're doing Dookie. They're doing the complete album, which is, I mean, that's pretty big. Like I would love to see them do that, and I'd love to see Smashing Pumpkins, but I could only imagine. I didn't even look to see the prices, because I want to go on vacation and I don't want to spend $600 going to see 3 hours of a concert. But that's
well,
just me.
yeah, I'm guessing they're gonna, yeah, that probably be a pretty costly show, I'm gonna guess.
Even, and this is the last event, Tom Segura, he's coming.
Ooh, I love Tom.
Okay, so our friends have been fans for such a long time. I knew of him, but we just recently like watched his specials, because I saw a clip of him talking about megadosing his mom on gummies.
Yeah.
I had fucking tears streaming down my face, and Greg's family came down. We watched like all his specials. He's amazing. So
He's my favorite comic, actually.
yes,
And
he's
he has one of the best podcasts out there. Just for anyone who's not out there, if you're a Tom Segura fan, go listen or watch his podcast. YMH, Your Mom's House. Keep them high and tight. Keep the mom jeans up. Everyone who knows the show knows what I'm talking about. Anyone else, it's like a foreign language. Also, fuck Garth Brooks. All right, we got it.
and his wife is fucking hilarious too. I love
Oh,
Christina. She's great.
Christina P's great.
Yes. So my friend was like, because she was gonna go to a show tonight, and her husband ended up getting sick, asked if we wanted to go, told her no, because I'm hanging out. And she said Tom Segura is coming around in June. And I'm like, let's fucking go. So we looked at he had the pre-sale code Tommy. So we looked it up, and we were thinking it would be like, 80, maybe like for pre-sale. It's like $120 a ticket. Then I'm looking on Vivid Seats, and it's because they already started selling them. It's 100, but think of the Vivid Seat sales and all their fucking it'd be 200.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. It's insane.
It
Get a
is
little bit.
ridiculous. Just to see, and it's a stand-up. I mean, granted, he is one of the biggest stand-up comics in the world right now, but I get it. It's also like, ugh, like that's kind of expensive to just see one guy stand there with a microphone. I don't know.
Coming and you saying that, and then my friend, shout out Christy, love her. She was like, "That's a little bit steep for a comedy show." She's like, we loved him for they saw him in Boston, and said it was cheaper to go there than to go locally where we live.
And that's the thing. So you can get punished by what metropolitan area. Again, I want to get through this quicker here, but like, so my absolute favorite podcast, I listen to it way too fucking much, is the Doughboys podcast.
Yeah.
They review fast food restaurants. They're two very funny guys. Whatever, love them. Actor and a writer. Um, they were coming around town, and they were coming to our town. They're coming to the Chicago market, and the Chicago market, I was like, oh my God, I'm finally going to see him. Like, can't wait. Like, it's been waiting for years. And I fucking go opening morning to go get their tickets. $120 minimum a ticket to see two guys ostensibly probably review like roast beef sandwiches or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
But then, and I'm like, all right, man, like, let me just look. So I start clicking their other tour dates.
Yeah.
And it's like, all the other tour dates I'm clicking, I'm like $50, $45. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like, if you're in probably like Chicago, New York, DC, LA, Atlanta, you're just getting fucked in the butt because of where you're at.
Exactly. And I could not believe that when she said that. She's like, so let's just wait to see if he hits Boston again and we'll go. I'm like, I'd much rather go and make a trip of it and not pay close to
Astronomical.
$250 and have it be like 30 minutes away. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's criminally insane to have a good time. Not only is the world crumbling, you have to like sell your soul to go enjoy a night
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Pissed.
Well, speaking of nights not out, we did a lot of nights in over October. Over the October weekend. I figure we are way behind schedule.
That was good though. I feel like us catching up like this.
Oh, it was great.
That was fun. That was like, I love talking this stuff.
I could go all night on this. So I have no shortage. We often see eye to eye on this. Fuck the man.
Yes.
But let's get into the meat of this episode. So we had intended, you brilliantly dubbed this episode the Halloween Hangover. This is going to be us talking about the movies that we saw or watched. For me, I'm keeping it to pretty much movies that I saw for the first time over the October period. And if you cheat a little bit, no one will know if you saw it in the first week in November. But yes, so we're going to review some of the movies. Now, some of these we've both seen and we're going to discuss at length, and some I'm sure that we haven't seen. And I have one clip that I can't wait to show you. It was the best thing I saw all October. That I know for a fact you have not seen.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, Jordan, I feel like we should start this off with one that I know for a fact we both saw.
Let's do it. What is it? What you got?
We're going to that pizzeria, baby. We're going to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes. Okay. So
I want to hear your thoughts on it first, because I kind of already let mine slip to you.
Okay. So Five Nights at Freddy's. I feel like with Blumhouse, they have this like knack for knocking it out of the park with like originals, right? And then when it comes to like known IPs, like this is a video game, a famous video game that people play.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it to an extent, but then because I watched it with Roz, she loved it, thought it was great. There was some things that I was just like, and I'm like secretly, thinking about them in my head, but I'm enjoying it with her because she was having such a great time. It was a fun watch, but I feel like simple things, like some of the acting was weird to me. Some of the storylines, like the cop coming in and that dynamic was a little bit weird to me.
I mean, it's as thinly veiled as a piece of paper. Like let's be honest. And maybe intentionally, but like you said, with the cop coming in, it's like, it may be intentionally because. And one of the things I think people forgot about this is a franchise that is a horror franchise, but it's largely directed at children. So like, I think some people were like, expecting more. And I'm like, is this intended for like 10-year-olds to watch?
And even at that, there was some scenes that I was like, Jesus. Cause like there was a couple, you know what I mean? Like there was a couple kill scenes that I was like, oh.
There's one that's fairly graphic.
Very much so, but I liked that being in there and it didn't seem to bother her. The things that I love the most that they did so goddamn well, because this is like one of my things in horror is the eyes, the a dark background with the eyes coming into play. I loved it every single time they would come out. I was like, yes, and I love how they did that. Um, Overall, I won't go on ramble. I'll let you.
No, we're
Um,
rambling. We're rambling.
it was good. It was good. I don't know too much about Five Nights at Freddy's. I'll admit that. I don't know. I know very little about the game.
You shouldn't need to. It's a movie. You should be able to watch it and enjoy it as it is.
Yes, but Roz is over here. Well, that's I can't even remember their names now, but Freddy Fazbender and blah 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 da 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 and this and that. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that you know. And she seemed like pumped for it, so I'm glad that it appealed to the audience that it was supposed to. And I
It's probably the equivalent of like when you went and saw Ninja Turtles as a kid, and
yes,
whoever brought you is probably like, what the fuck is what?
yeah.
Okay, sure. There's a rat. Okay, like
Also, and I'm sitting there like, yes, go ninja. Yes, exactly. I love that analogy, but uh, just little things like that. And that's just me being, I don't want to say nitpicky, because I'm usually pretty like easygoing when it comes to movies, and you know this.
yeah.
But there's just something I felt like a little bit off during it, but and a big redemption. We're spoiling this, right? This is spoilers.
I think it's fair to say spoilers. If you want to watch it, it's in theaters, and you can also watch it at home on Peacock. So I mean, like, also if you played the fucking game, then you know what that happened. So
Exactly. But my spoiler that I loved was seeing Matthew Lillard in the antagonist.
yeah,
I love seeing him because it was very reminiscent of Scream
yes. I mean, I love
on a kid
Matt.
level.
And I love Matthew Lillard in general. I
Mhm.
loved, and I'll be straight up. I like this movie. I had
Yeah,
fun. Was it great? No, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. But
same.
I
Yes.
think it was fun to watch. I am a gamer. I have played, never beat, because I just find them not all that fun, to be honest. At least the first two, because they're kind
Yeah.
of more or less just jump scare games.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know that much about the story. I knew some of the animatronics names, but
Yeah.
whatever. I thought it was fun. I
Yeah.
like ultimately I thought it was fun. I had to go in. Like I saw some people reviewing it, and that's fine if you like they're like, this needed to be a hard R. And I'm like, it's for
Mm,
it's for kids.
I don't think so at all. I don't think it should have been a hard R. I think that it was right. It was PG-13. I think it was the perfect amount of scary and kill wise, because there was a lot that were like left to your imagination, but then there was some that you actually saw. And
Absolutely.
I don't think it for the audience that they're aiming at, I don't think it was bad.
No, I think that there was so I mean people are pretty split on this. The critics fucking hated it.
Yes,
The
saw that.
Freddy fans and kids seem to love this movie.
Yep.
And then there seems to be some mixture, but I see a lot of people who are like, "Oh, it should have been more violent and scary and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, dude, I think you like sometimes have to remember that not every fucking movie is made specifically for you. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
this is a franchise that is predominantly played by people between the ages of probably 7 and 13.
And you know that those kids are gonna beg their parents to go see it, or there's gonna be the other kids that are like, too cool. They're gonna go see it and be like, ugh. And they're gonna be, some parts that were actually scary. See, and that's funny because that was not my issue at all. There's just a lot of like cringy scenes with the acting. I felt like in between the cop, the female and the lead. But that's just
Yes.
me. That's just me. And that's totally me being like observant of the dynamic in there, because I thought Matthew Lillard was perfect for what the role that he played. I felt like the niece was great. I thought she was really good. Um and I thought that the visuals were really really good, because I mean, I grew up with Chuck E. Cheese. It's very much like a Chuck E. Cheese scenario, you know?
Oh yeah. And granted, I again I gave it a 7 out of 10. I agree
Yeah.
with you very much. The whole cop character in general was unnecessary. It didn't really have any. I mean, I guess she was there for exposition at one
Yes.
point once they finally realized that these things are like semi alive.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm with you on that. I kind of wish that there was a more it's a pretty anticlimactic ending, I'll say. I mean, Matthew Lillard, which like again, it was like the least surprising thing in the world when you're like, who's the villain going to be? It's like, well, there was only one other fucking character shown in this movie, so I
That
wonder who it's gonna be.
that was Ross because she's like, "Who could it be?" And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "What the hell? Like, come on!" And then it happened.
You're like, kid, I'm checking your homework tomorrow. All right.
I know, and I get it because I totally like. I'm sure she was excited about everything else, but I'm like, literally, there's one person. Like that's it. But I loved it because I think that he's such a good villain, and I think that like obviously an iconic role like Stu, to see him back in that and being as like gritty, even though with like a more raspy older voice, I loved it.
Oh, yeah, and I think he's signed on for 2 more, which they're absolutely making because this movie made I am very curious here because I love when horror movies do well, and
Yeah,
it was made for like $20 million and it made $260 million, not including whatever they got for the Peacock deal. But
yeah.
imagine all the people who watched it on Peacock if they hadn't done that Peacock deal. I'm like, that number might be fucking double or triple that fucking number. Like,
That's where we watched it was Peacock because we wanted to go to the movies, but we had so much going on. And then one night, her and I got to chill by ourselves, and she's like, "Let's watch it." I'm like, "I'm down," and
yeah.
we got to watch it. So I would have been curious to see those numbers too. But it's funny to have it be as successful as it was, and have it be a flop.
Well,
Well, or not like a flop, but like not like people reviewing it and saying that it wasn't that good. Because what wasn't it?
oh,
Not Tomatoes like 23%.
yeah, the actual like the professional critics they hated it. And I again some I feel like the average viewer seems to be a little more nice to it, but yeah, it's well here, let me just here. Are you pulling that up? Because I can
Yeah, I can't type to save my goddamn life at all. Let's see. So we got
Five Nights at
30% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.5 on IMDb, and then 95 or 94% like this movie from Google users. So it's like super like oddly divided.
Yeah, and so here and granted, I know you can't trust it entirely, but I always do generally go more with the audience score than I do with the professional critic score.
Absolutely.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, the professional critics are giving it a 30%. That's based on 194 reviews. The audience, which has more than 1,000, God knows how many reviews, it
Mhm.
says just 1,000 plus, 87%. So
And then here it says number one most searched horror on streaming today. So that's good that it's still like generating searches.
I believe if I'm correct, it will unless Thanksgiving or Silent Night, Deadly Knife or whatever
Yeah.
um really crushes it out of the park. I'm pretty sure they said that this is going to go down as the most successful horror movie of 2023.
It is because it's still in. I mean, I say I know it's still in theaters. Like
Yeah.
there's movie times, and what was it? Exorcist Believer was only in theaters for a week, and then it went right to streaming.
Yeah.
So like that, it says it speaks volumes because people are still going. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's good to see a movie like this reign at the top because again like we said in the beginning I don't feel like there was a lot of movies that have stood out to me, so hopefully the next two that I watch that are big ones have that little spark because I don't know, just I don't
Just
know.
not doing it. I think I'm with you, but I do think that it's cool to see, and that I think this is a great entry level horror movie for younger fans, you know. And
Absolutely.
hey, I played the game, I watched the like a movie. My
Yep.
parents don't get it, and that's thus they not getting it makes it cooler to me as a child, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes,
Like,
I totally get that.
and I would like, I mean, I will watch the sequel when it comes out because obviously Blumhouse is going to probably, I'm going to guess, invest more money in it now that they know that how big this can be. And
Yep.
I want to see, I mean, obviously it's a pretty wacky fucking premise. So like, let's let Matthew Lillard just go fucking ham.
Like
Like,
to have him back on the big screen and in a role like this, I'm 1,000% with you. I mean, and Blumhouse seems to be taking like the the child storyline premise? Because did you see the preview for that new teddy bear one?
I didn't see the preview. I saw I saw an image of the bear. I think it's called Imaginary, which okay.
I know that you're not like huge on trailers, but I did watch the trailer, and it's just interesting to see them capitalize on like Megan and like, well, I'm envisioning that there's more Blumhouse that is like aimed towards like children type stuff, but like Megan, then this, and was there other stuff that was like a little bit?
Did they do that Chucky remake?
Yes,
I
yes,
mean,
they did. I
yeah,
think
I think they did.
yes.
I mean,
But
I like Blumhouse though. Like Blumhouse to me is in the fight of good and evil. I put Blumhouse on the good side.
I like Blumhouse when it's like original stuff. I
Yeah.
like when they do like, I didn't realize that Creep, found footage Creep was
Mhm.
Blumhouse. Like original ideas, I'm all for it. Big IPs like Exorcist and Halloween, eh,
No.
they should stick to the formula of like an original.
Yes, and keep David Gordon Green away from all of it.
The fuck away from it.
I'm glad you brought up Imaginary though, because I thought that looked cool. But yes, I mean, I granted I didn't watch the trailer. I saw like a 10-second like teaser,
Yep.
and it did give me just on the very little that I saw. I was like, well, I got Megan. I'm like Megan with a bear. I'm not into that. So
It's
like,
dark. I watched the there's some stuff that seems dark. So again, I'm for it because Megan kind of surprised me. I didn't think I was gonna like Megan, and I will say it proudly. I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. Like
I,
was the singing was cringy, but
I like Megan as well. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm excited for 2.0. And it was fun. It
Yes.
was like campy and fun, and I thought it was cool and creepy.
Yes, because there was parts where I was just like, "Oh shit, that's fucking terrifying," and then there's other parts where I'm like, "Oh god."
Yeah, I mean, and then the dance scene, which is like iconic now, but like I don't know how I feel about it, but like I think if that scene wasn't in the movie, that movie makes 50% less money. So like that was
Facts.
what got everyone talking about that movie was that
Facts.
scene in the trailer.
It's true.
Okay, so that's our thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's. So let's hear what else did you watch during your October binge?
Okay, so I'll go with one that wasn't such a highly received one. I watched Exorcist Believer.
Oh, now did you pay for this? Because did you pay to watch this on streaming?
No. No, I got it through a Plex server.
Get her, boys.
Yeah, but like I won't.
We got her.
I
We got
wouldn't
her.
I would not pay any money to see that movie. So
I
even
wasn't asking you I thought you. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to incriminate you. I was trying to say like, that was my way of being like, did you like, pay? Because I was like, I didn't think it was on like HBO or anything yet.
well, it did go to streaming. I forgot where was it
I,
streaming? Was it
I,
Peacock?
no, I think it's streaming, but you still have to pay to watch it right now. So like Amazon or Fandango or whatever the fuck it is.
I mean, I did pay. So just cut out the part where I said I didn't pay. Just cut that all out and just say I paid money for it. Anyway, so I wanted to give it a chance because just as well as everyone else that is listening, usually when the masses hate something, I love it, and when it's loved, I hate it. So even though I had 98%, fact, like I wasn't gonna like it from all the stuff that I heard from people. Have you seen it?
No, and I will, but I'm gonna wait till it pops up on HBO or something because I don't. It looks awful, and I hate David Gordon Green and everything. Just truthfully, there wasn't a single thing I saw that was like, I'm in.
Yeah, and same. And I got to watch it with my sister-in-law because she wanted to check it out, and it was like a really bad Hallmark movie for the 2 hours that it was on, and then the last 15 minutes of possession. Some of the makeup was cool. I will give you that. Um, there's some things that happen that would make Exorcist fans like cringe with returning characters, and I just thought it was a big heaping pile of shit. And I am I really had high hopes for David Gordon Green with Halloween 2018. Lost that hope as the trilogy went on, and then I just don't fucking get how he got his hands on this. I don't understand it. And if there's 2 more movies coming, I'm scared. It's
So,
terrifying.
can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
And this, I understand this. So, spoiler alert, skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. Does it set itself up for like a trilogy, like 4 more movies? Like, is it clearly like sequel baiting?
It is because it was already set to be a trilogy.
Oh, I know he announced it. I'm just wondering. I don't think this one did very well. So,
It didn't, but like they knew what they were doing with how it ended. I'll say that because of course they're gonna throw in parts of the original to give it that feeling, like kind of give it that Laurie Strode sprinkle. But even as much as I love The Exorcist, it did not redeem anything for me, and it actually made me anti watching anything else that comes from this franchise or from David Gordon Green. So
I,
good
I'm
job. Good
I'm with
job.
you. And I always say you vote with your wallet. That's why I will not be giving any money of mine to this movie. I like I said, if it pops up on HBO or something I'm already subscribed to, I might watch it, but I have no desire to support it.
But again, Sam, it's 2 hours. So like we had this discussion. If you appreciate your time and you feel like you don't have enough time in your day, do not waste it on that. Don't do it. I'm not even exaggerating. There's nothing like scary in the it was like overacted, dramatic Hallmark movie vibes, and then it turned into a possession at the end, and it was and then also too, I don't want to get hate for saying this, but it was this like religious, like The Exorcist. Obviously, it was the devil. It's a possession movie, and there are parts of religion in the movie, of
Mhm.
course. But it wasn't like shoved down your throat. It wasn't like it was done so well, right? This movie, it was just like cringy, like
That's kind of a trope of exorcism movies outside of The Exorcist.
yeah.
Like, I really feel like that is. I mean, honestly, I didn't even realize it until we were just talking. That's if you saw me write something down. I was like, oh shit, I watched another movie. I watched I watched an exorcism movie this over October,
What'd you watch?
and I watched another religious horror movie. So I
What?
watched 2 religious horror movies this October for the first time.
Well, I can't wait to hear
One of
those
them was
ones.
good. One of them sucked balls.
There isn't a lot of possession movies I feel like that do the trick.
Um,
And I
I
don't know
can
if that's
name 2.
same.
I like Exorcist, and again, I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about it, but I remember I did enjoy the Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yes, and those are the only 2 that stood out to me. We just not in October, but The Right with Anthony Hopkins, that was actually
I've heard it's good.
that was decent. That was good. But everything else that I have watched possession wise, I just feel like it just lacks it. And that says a lot about The Exorcist because it's like the definitive possession movie and it's still talked about to this day. So again, circling back into Blumhouse, for them to even think that they could do it justice is like laughable. I don't understand the confidence. Like where's it coming from? Like you already got fucking shit from the Halloween trilogy. What made you think that you were gonna? Oh, well, I fucked that up. Let me tackle The Exorcist. Like, what kind of stupid shit is that?
Yeah, well, all they care about is that those made money. But I also don't even know how much money. I really want to know how much money did those movies actually make? Because a very large percentage of them. I mean, first of all, 2 of them came out during the fucking pandemic. So
Right?
they were all 3 of them came out on Peacock, I should say.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. No, the first one was 2018. That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Kills came out right in the middle of the pandemic, and that was on Peacock. And then the same for Ends. I want to know how much did 2 and 3 really make? Because like I know they're getting deals from Peacock that are just like flat rates of like, oh, this is how much money you're gonna get. But I'm like, I want to know like how much did those movies actually like monetarily bring in? Because somehow they were like, you're our fucking guy. You're the dude. We're going with you. Exorcist. You're doing that. After that, what else do you want to fuck up? Like, let's go.
I'm
Like,
scared. I'm scared that that's the route it's going because it seems like as shitty as you make these movies, you're getting these like bigger IP names, and it's like I don't. And here's my other qualm about this whole fucking Exorcist bullshit because it pissed me off with Blumhouse. Okay, Halloween Horror Nights, they had it as a house.
yeah,
How the fuck do you put that as a house? And it came out before the movie even came out. So how is anyone going to know these scenes? How is anyone going to have any connection with anything inside that house? Yet you leave out Megan and Insidious Red Door. Like two huge movies that came out that did really well and received good reviews. How did you not use those as houses? Why are we promoting this garbage can bullshit and put it as a house?
it would have just been better to just do just the regular Exorcist.
And I went through that house and it was amazing because
Yeah.
you know why? It's a classic. And when you walk through and you can smell the vomit and you can feel the coldness, that's cool. But when you go into this house and you have no idea what the fuck anything is, why would you? I just I'm trying to connect the dots and it gives me a headache. I can't.
No, I get it. I mean, if you don't, releasing that before the movie came out makes no sense. Because I mean, granted, I get it because it's advertising for the film itself,
Yeah.
but like for the actual person paying for that ticket, you have no idea what the fuck you're looking at, what you're experiencing. And it's, at that point, it's just like any random haunt, that you could go to in your hometown, like, because you don't know what the fuck is happening. There's no
That's why I was
story.
happy that I'm not happy. I had FOMO, of course, because I didn't go this year. But when I saw that, I was like, I don't really have any desire to spend that much money on tickets to go to even promote this because I know it's gonna suck. And I hate being like that because I'm like optimistic and I try not to be that person, but I already had a feeling it was gonna suck major balls, and it was like the whole shaft and balls.
Yeah. Based on, I think if you were going to miss a year, this would have been one to miss.
Yes. Correct. So that's all I'm going to say about the. I mean, I wanted to give a good one a bad one before I gave a good one. So we'll go to
Well,
what
let's
you
go
got.
to my exorcism movie I saw over the October fun schedule.
Yes.
I saw a movie that I laughed at when I saw it, the trailer for it, and the only reason I watched it is because a bad movie podcast that I listened to reviewed it, and they are like, basically they had so much fun watching it, and it was on HBO, so I was like, fuck it, let's give it a try. I watched The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fun, honestly. Like, I mean, if you can like have fun with it, that's the thing. Like, if you are the type of person, if you're going in like, well, this is going to be scary, no. But if
Right.
you're like, I want to see Russell Crowe when he's like, he's just like, he doesn't care anymore. He's fat
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it. Russell Crowe's fucking fat now, and I love
He
it.
is.
And he's fat, and he's got an awful Italian accent in this movie. Like he talks like this pretty much of the whole movie, like as if he's gonna give you some pizzas.
It's like Super Mario Brothers' cousin.
Oh, it's
He's
great.
he's a
It's great. And like so many stereotypes like that are so funny. Like he rides around on this big fat Russell Crowe is riding around. For some reason, they're like, let's give him his mode of transportation. Car? No. Horse? Maybe. Nope. Little tiny scooter, Vespa scooter. So it's so awesome. And like I enjoyed this for like all the wrong reasons, but like honestly, like when I was watching it, like I was into it. I was like, dude, I'm into it. Like this is fucking nuts and it's total propaganda. Like I swear to God, I wouldn't be surprised if this was funded by the church, but I was like, I'm in. I'm in.
I love it.
So I love Constantine, and I'm like, this is as close to Constantine as I'm getting for a while, which is fucking Russell Crowe just kicking demon ass. All right.
I love that you loved it so much. Like this just makes me happy. And I also love when you kept saying, and he's fat. It reminds me of what's her name in fucking Knocked Up. Was it
Oh,
Knocked Up where she's like, oh wow, what was it? Leslie Mann when she's like, and he's something, and
he's fat. Yeah, he's fat.
And she kept saying it. She's like, but he's fat. You sounded just like her. I gotta remember what one that's from.
I'm not body shaming. I mean, I could lose some pounds, but I'm just like, oh, it's just Russell Crowe is like going from like the hunk of like when I was a kid to like now he's just like, I think he's just like fuck it. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm going to do these crazy movies and
Because
I'm
he's
going to
established, he's a big actor. He doesn't give a shit. And you can definitely see it because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh
Did
man.
you see it?
Yeah, I didn't like it, but
Oh,
I'm glad that you did. I tried and I wasn't going in like, oh, it's gonna be the most terrifying because I never with possession movies, I don't put it on a pedestal because
no.
I just don't think that it's right. Like, but there could be entertaining qualities. I tried to like this one. I wasn't a fan, but I just love that how much that you enjoyed it.
See,
This is great.
and maybe it's because I had the preparation of like I listened to the podcast before I did it and before I
Yes.
watched it, and then I was like, okay, so I know what I'm getting into. I had already, and actually, I watched Five Nights at Freddy's, then I watched that,
Yeah.
and so I had already had a few beers going at that point. I think I was at the
Same.
right level, and I just had
Mhm.
fun. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. But like it was fine. Like I had fun with
But
it.
at least you enjoyed it and you had a movie that actually, like, had entertainment because there's times that I watch movies, I'm like, "I cannot get that time back."
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't mad. By the end of the movie,
No.
I was like, trust me, because I'm about to get into some bad ones. But the I'm trying to balance out the good and the bad. So now everyone's like, well, he just likes he just hates everything.
I
I
know,
like good things and I like bad things too, like the Pope's Exorcist.
but I feel like that's a s spoiler alert, I feel like that's how it's gonna go for me because there was there well, the next one I did love, but the other ones are kinda just, like, mediocre, or they're just, like, they were okay, but they didn't ignite that, like,
That passion.
yeah, like, "Oh, I gotta watch that again, that was so good." You know,
I
because
had I had
I
one of
remember when I
those.
watched Creep 2, remember? And I literally watched it as soon as I got done.
You
I
watched?
watched it
Didn't you watch Creep and Creep 2 right back to back?
no, I watched Creep 2 because you told me how good it was, and I
Mhm.
watched Creep 2, and then literally got done, and I'm like, "I'm watching it again." I
Oh yeah,
watched it
I remember
right
that.
after. So I want, like, a movie to invoke that feeling, and so I watched or did you wanna keep talking about I didn't wanna cut you off.
Oh, the last thing I'll say about the Pope's Exorcist. My only complaint about the movie is that he is not the Pope's exorcist, and the Pope in the whole movie, in fact, does not need an exorcism.
No.
Misleading title, cool title, misleading the whole time. I was like, all right,
Wait, when's he gonna get
when's
what's
he
gonna
going?
happen?
When are we going to see the Pope?
And then it's like, "Oh, it's not even the Pope."
Yep. So, other than that, you can go. But that was my
That
last
was a
point.
very misleading title. I didn't even think about that, but now you say it, it's like, yeah, that nothing happened.
Yep. Nope. Not a lot of Pope in this movie.
Nope to the Pope. Um,
Hashtag no Pope. Well, you know what? That might invoke different things. Don't hashtag no Pope. That'll probably be weird and a weird sector of Twitter we don't need to go into.
yes, unless you put a K in front of it, because then you might get into, like, the Leslie Nope
Leslie Nope. Yeah.
cat, and
For
that might be a little bit more
for Pope. Yes.
user friendly. I love it. Speaking of that, I just started rewatching Parks and Rec again, and I'm in my happy place because I'm movies. They're not doing it for me, so I had to get back into
Something that you just
something
is
that gave me emotion, and
something that's comfy.
yes, and that's totally comfy. But I talked to you about this one, and I didn't realize it was a cult classic. I had no idea that it was as big as it was, and I waited so goddamn long because no one talks about it, but I watched David Lynch's Eraserhead.
Oh yeah.
And that out of all the movies that I've watched in the Halloween time has been my favorite, and it is the most obscure, crazy, off the wall, like, acid trip feeling movie you'll ever watch, and I gave it 5 stars. I fucking loved it. It's still in my head. I still think about it. I still hear the In Heaven song that the lady in the radiator sings. It's fucking amazing.
So
It's so crazy.
I love that you loved it. I know it's such a big cult classic movie. I have to give it another shot because when I watched it, I was like such a film nerd growing up. Like I went and found all the cult movies I could find, and I remember that like that distinctive cover. I don't even know if you know what the cover of
Yes.
the movie with
It's just
the
him with his
hair.
big hair, and I'm like, what is this?"
Yeah, so I saw that probably when I was like 13, and
Mm.
I remember like literally like turning it off and like I wouldn't want to say I hated it, but I was like, I don't get it. And I think I remember being like, I must be too young to get this. Like I just don't understand this yet, and maybe I will one day. And I
Yeah.
never went back to it, so I
And
don't remember it.
I totally get that because there was a point because I did partake in, you know, adult um things beforehand. I smoked before I watched it, which I think totally enhanced my viewing of it because I think if I watched it dead sober, I would have been like, the fuck? Actually, no, I think I really would have loved it still, but watching it high just added that like feeling the feeling of uncomfortableness because it's so awkward and there's scenes where you're just like, what is happening? Like it goes from one thing and then it's quiet and it's focusing on someone's face and then all of a sudden like the mom's like, oh, she's screaming and making noises and it's then it it's so all over the place, but it's just beautifully done because you feel that sense of uncomfortableness. You feel that sense of uh just every emotion evoked is just it's done perfectly. And I don't know, David Lynch did he wrote it, produced it, directed it, did the music for it. Like it's fucking brilliant. I love it.
Well, you have convinced me that I need to give this movie another
But
watch.
I'm scared because I'm afraid you're gonna watch and be like, Jordana, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, and it's possible that that's I mean that is his first movie. Um, I I would like I mean I don't really know. So David Lynch has made two of my favorite things ever.
Hmm.
He made Twin Peaks, which I love. I love Twin Peaks. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of the show. It in I can tell you factually based on what I remember and when I watch that and when I remember watching Eraserhead, I'm like, I don't see a lot of crossover here. Like maybe with a little bit of there's a little bit of randomness that happens in
Hmm.
Twin Peaks, but overall, it is a narrative that has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yes.
I don't remember there being much of a narrative in Eraserhead as more as it's just a compilation of insanity.
And that's I don't like that's the thing about it that I think that I love the most is because I I had to stop it because I was falling asleep and I wanted to finish it. So I had 20 minutes left and I watched it with Greg and he's like, "Are you fucking serious?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You watched Eraserhead without me?" I'm like, "I didn't know that you liked it. I don't know that this is a thing. Like I didn't realize that so many people liked it because I don't see it. I hardly see it on our horror community platform. I don't ever see it on Instagram. It's kind of like
I don't
once
think
in
it's really in the horror community. It's really more in like that like super nerdy like film buff, like I mean, granted, which I used to be that type, the people would be like, well, actually, the story narrative, right? There's probably people losing their
the
fucking
meaning of
minds
this is
that they're like,
this.
you didn't get it, you dumb fucks. Like,
So I'm saying all this stuff because it's the part where like he like cuts the bandage on that thing baby and it's like the chicken at the dinner scene and it opens up and the thing's like screeching and then all this like sand looking like foam stuff comes up on the baby and it's like bah, bah. And I'm like what does this mean? And I'm saying to Greg, he's and finally I kept saying it. He goes, shut the fuck up. It doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, oh. I was like, and
that's
it clicked. I'm like,
that's my that's what I remember about the movie. None of it meant anything.
and we got done. He's like, Jordana, you can't make sense of this because it's not supposed to make sense. It's just like this anxiety inducing movie that's just crazy and you're not supposed there's no literal meaning of this movie. And I love that because I'm sure people are like, I'll figure it out. I know that this means something. And I truly don't think it means shit. I mean, there was a part of me that felt like it was covering how someone would feel being a parent that doesn't want to be a parent. Not like that they don't want to, like they want nothing to do with it at all, but like had no idea it was happening, didn't plan for it, wasn't ready. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it has that tone in it, but I don't think that's what it was supposed to be.
Again, 13. I'm getting the impression that maybe I saw it at the perfect age because I still like the way you said your husband described it as nothing means anything. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what I remember about it. That's all I really remember about it.
And I kind of like that you can watch it and I can take it in one way. You could come out and be like, "Oh, it had to do with I feel like this is what it had to do with." And it has all these different like opinions and none of it like there's an actual scene, Sam, where the girls like they have the he finds out that they're gonna have the baby. So he's like, "Do you want to move in with me?" So she moves into this like little apartment, and the baby's crying continuously, and she's like, "I'm leaving." So she goes to leave, and there's this scene where like she's getting you don't know that she's getting her suitcase, but she's at the end of the bed and she's like doing like this movement and making noise, and you're watching it, and it's doing it for like 2 minutes straight, and she's like crying, and she's like, ah, and it's doing that, and then she finally like pulls the suitcase out and walks away, and I'm like, what? What did I just watch for 2 minutes? And I thought I was like supreme. I mean, I was supremely high, but it made me. I don't know. It was just crazy. I loved it.
I,
I still
I
do.
I'm gonna have to give it another go, and I will have to retouch on it and see if my brain is ready for it because and this is I like David Lynch, so I'm hoping because I've liked a lot of his other stuff. Like I said, I love
Yeah.
Twin Peaks. A Lost Highway is pretty good. I know he doesn't like it, but his version of the Dune movie is probably my favorite sci-fi movie ever made.
Mhm.
But I feel like every movie he's made besides Eraserhead is oftentimes, yes, a little he loves surrealism and shit.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go, film nerds. I know what I'm fucking talking about. He loves like that style, but like they oftentimes, I don't know, like have a story and like
A
you could
premise?
and like yes, and like even if they're a little kind of wacky, you're like, okay, I'm following along. I get it like a little bit here, like
It's crazy. It's like there's a sex scene in it that's just like it's so ridiculous, but it like in cap I don't know. It's just I need to make sure that I'm not crazy. And you know what though? Even if everyone in the world was like I hated it, I still give it 5 stars and I loved
I
it.
mean,
So
a lot of people love it. So it's I think it's one of those movies that you're probably either going to love or you're going to hate, or you're going to be like me and still like scratching your head, 20 years later. So
yes. So but yeah, I really want you to watch it because I do want to talk about it.
I will definitely give that a watch. That is for sure going to be on the list. I'm sure it's free on Tubi. So I'm
You know,
sure it's free on Tubi.
I can't believe I haven't like I found it on whatever. I'm not gonna say where, but I'm not.
I think you're okay for I don't think anybody's coming for you for fucking Eraserhead.
But the thing that because I it wasn't like it was on my watch list, and when I turned it on, I saw it and I'm like, oh, I know I've seen it before, and I've seen it like a little bit on Instagram, so might as well watch it. And I turned it on, and I was just and Greg was like, why Eraserhead? I'm like, I don't know, it was the second movie that was up on there. I decided to watch it, and
The
he's like,
machine told me
oh,
to watch it, so I watched it.
machine was sending me signals. So,
um. Okay. Well, I don't have. Well, I did have one that I love just as much as that, but let's save that for a minute. Let me just knock off my religious horror that I watched.
oh,
Uh, and I know you've seen this, and I think we're gonna differ here a little bit. So I watched The Nun 2.
mm-hmm.
And let me rephrase that. I watched the first hour of The Nun 2. Oh, I hated it. Ah,
I feel like the Nun franchise is just a no-go for me, but for whatever reason, I didn't mind this one because I felt like how do I say it? There was more going on. I don't even remember the first one that well, so I can't even really go off of what I'm saying, but I felt like there was a little bit more. I didn't go ahead.
no, 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 no. I'm trying to process my own thoughts because I don't remember the first one either, other than the two main character. Well, and I guess the fucking demon, but like so yeah.
And that's it's so shitty because Valak is like has the potential to be such a good horror villain because she's terrifying. Like The Conjuring 2 was, take that and make that into a movie, and The Nun sucked. And this one I thought was a little bit better, not by a lot, but I, I think this would be like number 9 on my list if I had
It
to.
it's right. I mean, The Nun is I truly disliked it, but it's the same reasons I disliked The Nun that I dislike this one.
Mhm.
I, I, except I think it amplified because it's like they literally just gave me a second dosing. Like, okay, I didn't really connect or give a shit about any of the characters from the first movie. So what are we doing? Bring them all fucking back. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So now I get. I don't know his name. We'll call him Petey, the fucking peasant. I don't know what his fucking name is.
Yes.
He gets a job working at the school, and then Vera Farmiga's sister there, which she's great. I like her in
Yep.
as an actress. She's wonderful in American Horror Story, the season 1. But like and you know what? It opened at first opening scene. I was like, oh shit, okay, they cracked the code, you know. And spoiler alerts for this piece of shit movie. Like it opens with like a priest being like levitated in the air and lit on fire, and I was like, we're fucking in. And
Yep.
then 45 minutes goes by and nothing happens, and I was like, holy shit. And not only does nothing happen, like I mean, I can't stand like okay, I have nothing wrong with a period piece movie, but what
Mhm.
drives me insane is a movie that is like in place of things actually happening, they just have conversations, but every conversation takes twice as long as a normal conversation does because they all have to speak in a more proper and prim way so that we elongate our conversations with bigger words and larger and a larger
Like, shut
vocabulary. And it's like, you're just saying the same unimportant, boring shit, but you're taking twice as long to say it.
I
And
know.
all of this religious allegories that are just being like thrown around to a point where I'm like, I don't care.
Mhm.
A good percentage of the film, like a good 20 minutes, is like it's like living at Harry Potter without the magic. Like it's all these girls running around the school and playing pranks on the teacher and putting bugs in her hair. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
They had so much potential though to have those little asshole bitch ass girls that were nasty to the characters to have their asses handed to them by Valak in a fucking scary way. And did it happen? No.
No, the one girl cries.
Yeah, and I'm like, you that's where I don't understand where someone made this movie and was like, "That's a great idea," is to have these little assholes, these little bitch bullies run around, and we're just gonna make one cry. No, you should have killed them. I'm
I
sorry. Like again, here's Jordana the child killer. Like if you wanted to ante up from the first one and make a sequel decent, you should have at least like cut them or like broke their nose or did something, but they did nothing.
I would argue just do anything. I mean, anything.
Yeah.
Because then we cut from the most boring version of Hogwarts I've ever seen to fucking like, okay, now we're on a planes, trains, and automobile situation, and her and the other nun are going on a train ride that lasts like 15 fucking minutes, and they have conversations that in no way relate to the rest of the story. Like
Mhm.
when I tell you I fucking hated this movie, like I watched close to an hour. I was like probably 54 minutes into it. And I
Yep.
pressed and I watched it on HBO because fuck, I'm not giving this my money. I pressed pause and I will say it. I think it said I had like around 26 minutes left in the movie. And I said, no, I fucking don't. And I said, no. I said, I have given you 54 minutes of my life. I am not giving you 26 more because I don't care. This is the most boring shit I've ever seen. And the fact that this got made and the fucking the thin man got or the crooked man got fucking scrapped
Yep.
pisses me off because I think the crooked man would be so much more fun than this piece of shit was.
At 1,000%. And that's why I don't understand why they're not capitalizing more on this Conjuring universe where they're taking these villains and making actual scary movies when you gave us like cumulatively uh like a good 25 minutes in each movie. Or like 15, you know what I mean? Like they knocked it out in in 2 and was the Crooked Man, he was in 2, right?
He's
With
two. Yeah,
Valak?
he was in two with the tent. He's
Yes,
only in like one scene, but everybody remembers that fucking scene.
when he walks up and he like his shadow gets bit. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
like if they made a movie based on him and actually made it scary, do it up. But like I don't see how they can have something as iconic as Valak in Conjuring 2 for fucking 10 minutes and they don't know what to do with it. It's a waste.
And I hate to be like speculative, but I have to imagine. I think this is why. I think this movie was cheap as fuck to make
Mhm.
because literally, I mean, yes, it is a period piece, but largely the movie, you know what, you rent out what a fucking, you know, an old castle or old building or whatever, which they have, you know, they're just fucking littered around Europe. Who fucking knows? Go find
Yeah,
one.
over there.
You know, you go find one of those. I'm not, I know I'm being like facetious about it, but like you obviously can do that for Hollywood. So
Yeah.
you rent that out. Other than that, you stick everybody in bland, boring outfits like that are all just, you know, that cost nothing.
Yep.
And largely nothing's actually happening because most of the film is just taken up by unimportant dialogue. Like this movie probably cost them barely anything to actually make. And
Yeah.
then it, because the Conjuring will, no matter what they fart out of the Conjuring universe, it's gonna make people want to go see it, and it's gonna make
Yeah.
a fuck ton of money. That's what I
Because
think
like
happened.
1 and 2 were done so goddamn well. 3, eh. But like and again, they had such amazing characters out of the movie. I don't know how they can't just deliver. And it baffles me. But again, I'm cutting my losses with the Nun because I don't remember the Nun. Greg loved the Nun, thought it was fantastic. His family and him loved the Nun. I thought it was more entertaining just to watch because there was the priest lit on fire, and then there was like there was something else that happened like in the middle, and I was just like, okay, like we were drinking. I'll sit and watch. I think I ate an edible too. I'm like, this is fine. But like in hindsight, it wasn't really that great.
No, is this I boy this it was truthfully, I mean, of everything I watched, it was the thing that I mean, it's the only thing I didn't finish. So I mean that says it there. And I only
Yeah.
had I had 26 minutes left. I had less than a fucking episode of The Office and I couldn't get through it. So
Yeah.
I
And
was done.
that says a lot.
Anyway, that's my that's my big old gripe of the Halloween watch. What do you got, Jordan? What else were you watching?
So I have two more to talk about. And I'll save one because I don't know. Actually, so I'll go in with this one because we haven't talked about it and I don't know if you've seen it, but I did watch When Evil Lurks.
I have two to talk about as well, so that lines up perfect.
Cool.
Evil Lurks. Yes, and I've seen a lot of chatter about this, but I've yet to ascertain if people liked it or not. So I'm curious to hear what you're saying.
So for me, so Terrified on Shutter
You
is
loved that one.
I loved that one. I thought that one was like chef's kiss, and I was so pissed that I slept on it for so long because it was another movie that I actually screamed. Like Greg was upstairs in the bathroom and I fucking screamed and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Ah!" Like you got to see this part again. Or you have to see this part. It was so good. But so the hype around this one, I'm like, "Oh fuck yes, it's going to be dark. It's going to be, the jump scares." I'm not saying it didn't deliver, but I felt like there was a lot that dragged on. Now, did you see this?
No, no,
Okay.
I haven't really watched, with the exception of the Joe Bob Halloween's Hootenanny watch along.
Yep.
I haven't really been watching anything on Shutter lately.
Okay, so I won't say too much,
No,
but
go right ahead.
well, there's if you do watch it, did you read spoilers? Did you like hear about stuff that happened?
I don't even know what the premise is. The only thing I have seen is the still image of the girl, which I think is the cover of the movie, with the girl holding I think it's a girl
Yes,
holding the axe like at her own head.
yes, and then
Feel
yes.
free. This is not a movie that I was like, I need to dig in, and if the audience doesn't want to hear about it, skip ahead a couple minutes.
So I won't say too much because there is like a scene that I like got like sat up off the couch and I was like, "What?" And then it like continued on. And for the everyone listening that has seen it, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. And it carried on for like a good 2 minutes afterwards and I was like, "Holy shit, like they went there," which I give them credit to. And there was a lot of other like imagery pieces that I really enjoyed that were like really dark. Like for instance, and again, and I say this and I'm just kidding because I'm not an advocate for killing children. Like I have a child. I love her
There's a
more than
theme this episode of what we know what you're into. All right, you
but
sicko.
the fact that they go there with these, I mean, this guy, he did it in Terrified. I mean, there's a dead kid at the table.
I've yet to see the movie, but I am familiar with that scene.
Like you see the still of him, but there is a scene where like the guy is looking for this because it's a possession movie, and it's not like your conventional possession movie. It's like the spirit travels two different bodies actively. So it's not
Okay,
like it's in one person like the whole movie, then it jumps to someone as they're getting exercised out. It's like it pops
moving
around.
from one to the other. Okay,
Yes. And there's really good body horror in it too, which I'm not like a big body horror person. Like that's not like top of my list, but there's a lot of like nastiness that adds to like the darkness and the grittiness. It's just I feel like it kind of loses its steam towards the end, and you're just kind of like, let's wrap this up because you had really good momentum, but now you're kind of fucking
isn't that the
chugging along.
worst when you get to that point where you're like you were into it, and then you're like, all right, man, like you should have ended like 30 minutes ago. Like,
Yeah, and I think that he could have actually had like a real, I mean, there are people that said it's the best horror movie that they've seen this year, 5 stars. And I get that because we really haven't gotten a lot of good content, but um just the visuals of this woman walking down the street ripping the kid's brain, like eating the kid's brains out of his fucking head. I was like, "What?" Like
that
that was a cool,
sounds pretty intense.
it was a cool scene, like, not like, but just because if you wanna, like, give it that edge, you have to take, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think this guy knows that if you want something to be not scandalous, but to be talked about and to actually, like, deliver, you have to kinda go outside of comfort zones and, like, the normal things you see in some horror movies. So I think that he took chances, and some of them played out, but it just lost its steam towards the end. And, I mean, it was a good watch, but I don't know.
But
I didn't
oh,
think I didn't think it was groundbreaking like some people are saying.
okay. Well, I may still give it a shot. I mean, you got me with the whole brain, so I'm interested with that.
There's another
Uh,
part too that you have to watch because you'll be like, "What?" Like, Greg woke up from being asleep to that part because I said it, and then he was like, "The fuck?" And then it kept going on, and then after that part was done, he was snoring again, so that says a lot.
he went back to bed and dreamt about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
slept like a
So,
baby.
he was good. But yeah, that's and I have what yes, but we'll go to yours.
Okay. So speaking of Shudder and Joe Bob's Hootenanny or whatever the fuck it was, I watched two movies that were first time watches. So I'm gonna just, Demons 2 was movie one, never saw it before. Fun time, liked it. But
Love
that's not
Demons
the
2.
one I'm talking about.
Hmm.
We got one you're gonna want to talk about. Demons
Oh,
2 was good. Never saw it before. Not as good as Demons 1, but it was fun. I enjoyed
it
it.
was, yes, it was fun watch.
But second movie he watched for his watch along was All Hallows Eve, which I had never seen before, and I
Okay.
have as we discussed earlier, a shaky history with the
Mhm.
Terrifier franchise. So I was like, "Fuck it, let's go in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go back to the origins." Although I guess technically there was a short film he made before this, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw it.
And I saw it. Yep, and that's all he's gonna say about it is I saw it.
So I saw it, and I like Terrifier too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh, I didn't like it at all. Like, okay,
I get that.
so let me rephrase, and I was able to watch it. Like, so at least it has that. It was better than the Nun 2.
Yes.
Uh, I
Oh,
just
that's
I love anthology horror movies. I do.
mhm.
I think they're great. I think it's a great Halloween tradition to have I genuinely think that they should be an anthology movie that comes out every fucking year, whether it's high budget, low budget, whatever. They're just great ways to tell little fun stories.
Preferably low budget.
Yeah, except this was horrendous. And like from the first story, which I was like, okay, that bird lady thing was kind of cool looking. I was like, okay, maybe. And then I'm like, really no resolution to this fucking story. It just sort of ended. I was like, did you run out of money to film it?
Or
And
like you didn't have a cohesive idea, so you're just like, here it is, and there it is.
that's and also so I had to research it, and I'm not claiming that this is like the most vetted research, but like I was googling while I was watching because I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
From what it seems like is, if I'm correct, that first movie, I think Damien didn't direct that. I think that's like a buddy of his that was his short film, and he like retooled it to be in his movie because like basically they didn't have enough money to make a feature length movie, so they took little movies and put them together. I think that's what happened. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
Yeah.
whatever. So there's that story, which I didn't give a shit about. Art's story was okay. Well, let me fix it. And then there's the like the through story, the babysitter with the kids.
Mhm.
I also truthfully didn't give a shit about that. The alien story, though, oh my, that's where like things really turned for me. I was like, wow,
I love
like
that one. I love it. I do.
you are my friend and I respect you, but oh my God, I was like, this is like unwatchable.
The alien was so ridiculous, but I loved it because like that reminds me of like old alien movies that used to scare me. Like I used to get like visuals of like the older looking aliens that looked robotic and super fake. I don't know what it was when I was younger, but it scared the shit out of me. So to watch it, I was like, oh, I don't know what it was. I liked it.
I mean, and I'm glad you did. From what I ascertained, it seems to be the one that has that even fans of the franchise, a lot of them are like, that one not great.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And then there's Art's story. So this is theoretically this would be the first time you see Art because don't I don't know if this is the short story or the short film that he originally made. I'm assuming it is. I'm assuming he just took the short film that he originally made and just farted it in here.
I would love to know that too because sidebar, real quick, because I
Yeah.
want to just piece this into it. So I talked about them earlier. My two friends, they're married, Christy and Sean. They're not like super horror people, never have been, but they're exploring because of me. So they watched Terrifier, loved it, loved loved Terrifier too. But All Hallows Eve, like, oh, we were talking about it. Sean's like, okay, so there's an All Hallows Eve that he did, and there's another short film that was done, but it's not released.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, okay,
Was
that's
it
probably
2011? Was that the date?
well, I can pull it up real fast here because it's pretty much because I did all this when I was watching this the other night, and that's why I was curious if this is the short film in there or not. But
And I would love to know that answer too, but I don't think I've ever seen the one that he's talking about, and I don't know like if it is that because then obviously I've seen it, but it's part of All
yes,
Hallows Eve.
so
So would like
Terrifier is there is a Terrifier short film for 2011. Whether or not that is the one in this movie, I don't fucking know.
okay.
Wait. All Hallows Eve producer Jesse Baggett viewed the Terrifier short on YouTube, prompting to him to consider including it in an anthology film with shorts by other filmmakers. And according to Leone, I wasn't having that and talked him into letting me shoot everything. He was totally cool with it and allowed me to write more and use the two shorts I had already made to create a whole cohesive film.
Damn. Now I wanna look that up on YouTube and see if I can find that because I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen the short that he has done on
Wait.
YouTube.
I'm reading it right here. While the Terrifier short serves as the film's third segment. So it is
Okay.
the short film. It is the short film.
Okay, and that's the girl with all the shit written on her
Yeah.
and that whole see, and I when I watched it, I liked it because I thought just like him on the side of the road was super menacing and he's creepy. Granted, like there wasn't the prosthetic, like there is.
His face is it's simpler, but
Yes, it's like more of like a man shape without the
the big prosthetic nose and the bony cheeks.
yes. Because I remember in the beginning one too, he had the glowy eyes.
Mhm.
But I liked it, and I thought for like a low budget anthology, it wasn't bad, and I liked the ending. And here it goes with the fucking theme with the kids' heads being cut off. I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's ballsy.
So, and here's the thing. I think Art's segment was the best. I can see why they were like, okay, there's something here. Let's delve into that more. Like
Mhm,
I enjoyed it up to a point. Like I liked the chase, like,
mhm.
for a low budget movie with him with, running around with the gun and stuff, like, which just, for this, you don't often see like Michael Myers never grabs a gun,
No,
like
you
so
don't see a lot of slashers with a gun
yeah.
other than Ghostface.
Yeah, other than Ghostface, who's kind of presented more as a man.
Yes.
But like, so I enjoyed that. The part where I was just like, you son of a bitch, you just couldn't have fucking left it alone. You could have just, is as soon as we get to the part where she like locks the door in that, I don't know, gravel factory, whatever the fuck she's in, and like, and like it starts cutting to like black and white, like it looked like and maybe this is partly why after I watched this, I watched The Crow, and I'm thinking now this might be like sub in my brain did
Yep.
this. They started shooting like her, but like it reminded me of The Crow. The like if you remember in the movie The Crow, if you've ever seen it, every time
Mhm.
Brandon Lee is seen with the bird scene, it's like in black and white, and it's all like fucking. But
And
it
yet,
that
yes.
that style, and now I'm starting to realize that movies have fucked me up more than I think, because that somehow put that subliminally in my brain, and I watched that after this movie. um but like that was like from there on I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And then when he like David Blaine's himself through the earth and like rises, I was like, okay, all right, well, all right. And I was like, and then I paused it and I was like, okay, well, there's about 9 minutes left, I can do that, and I finished it.
Well, hey, at least you finished this one. Like that makes me happy that you finished it. But I don't know. There's just something about it. When I watched it the first time, I'm like, I like this. And then I watched Terrifier, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking sold on this guy. Like I don't know what it is. I'm a sucker for fucking
You're not the only one.
shit.
I think I'm in the minority. I'm in the minority. More people love Terrifier than hate it, and I love Terrifier too. Love it. Movie of the year that year.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I I do not think I am a Damien Leone fan.
I just want to know like what's gonna happen once he branches off from Terrifier. I want to see him do another standalone, and I want to see what he can do. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm curious to see what he does.
Hmm.
I'm also somewhat. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns out to, and I say this very lovingly,
Hmm.
because I love this filmmaker, but I feel like he could go like the Don Mancini route, which Don Mancini is basically the creator of Chucky,
Hmm.
and other than the Blumhouse fuck up movie that they made. He has made and directed every single one of them, including every episode of the TV show, and like that's just his legacy. He's like, this is me. I do Chucky. That's what I do, and I wouldn't be surprised if Damien Leone ends up in that sort of similar boat, which is not a bad thing.
It's not, but I feel like he has such a range to do other stuff. Like I feel like
Well,
he
he's
could
got to
do,
learn how to tell one story first
but that's where I think he needs to get like with someone like Mike Flanagan.
and help
That
him craft a story.
yes, and like learn and like have a an editor that can cut it down to an hour and a half. Like give us an hour and a half of quality of Terrifier 2 and give it like some cohesion. I think that he'll be in like Flint. You know what I mean? Like I think it'll be good, but I want to see him come up with another idea for like a horror movie. I want to see more practical effects used in like a creature feature or another. I
I'm
don't know.
down for that.
Can you literally knock out like multiple slashers? Like can he come up with another slasher as iconic as Art the Clown? Like
He could.
so there's the question is, will you branch off and do something else, or are you just going to stay on the gravy train, which I could see either. I could see him like, collabing with other big directors and creators to do something different. And then I can also see Terrifier going on for two more movies.
I feel like based on things I've read and we've talked, and he's been talking with Mike Flanagan. I think he's going to get at least one crack at something else. That's what I
I
personally
hope so.
think.
And I hope like I know there was that's the other controversy that I wanted to talk to you about, and I forgot to do it when we were doing our two things with Terrifier. But people like saying that he's begging to do Friday the 13th. He's not begging to do the Friday the 13th. He said he would love to do Friday the 13th and bring it back to like the 80s, the 80s aesthetic or however he worded it. and make it scary again. Okay, if you are going to do that with an older franchise and revive it and actually make it like what people loved it to be, I'm here for it because I think he could handle shit like that. I think he could do, not saying by himself, but
Well, yeah, no,
I
I'm
think
with
that he
you.
could do. I still think he could do Jaws
Well,
just
I,
just because of practice. I'm not like no one can do Jaws. Let's be real.
I'm,
No one
I'm,
should touch it.
I'm gonna take a hard stance against. I don't think. Oh, Jordana. Oh man. I'm with you on the Friday the 13th. I think he could do it if he had a co-writer and maybe a producer to help guide him. I do not think that who the man doesn't know how to tell a story that is pretty basic yet successfully like a story. I don't know if he can tell a story that's like about, like I think he would just be like, it's about the shark. And you're like, it's not really about the shark. It's about the feet, whatever.
The only reason I say that with him,
I don't know why I gave him an accent, by the way.
I love it though, because it's totally how he would
I
sound.
went Russell Crowe on it. He gets it about the shark.
My God, I want to do a voiceover of you like with Russell Crowe talking and your voiceover just for that. But like the only reason I say it is because he loves Jaws. He like that's his favorite movie and he has that love for it like we do. Like that means a lot to him. I think in the sense of he knows and he understands that movie, that I think that he would do justice to like wanting a practical shark. I don't think he would do CGI. I think that all the effects of like the people getting eaten by the shark would be practical. And I think that he could execute that. And I think that he, because he loves it so much, could take notes from it and kind of, I don't think he would be stupid enough to change it like, and I'm not saying this to be mean because I don't I know a lot of people like what Rob Zombie did to Halloween, but I think that he could have like a decent take on it. And I all these people, which I didn't know were a thing, are wanting Rob Zombie to do Jaws. Fuck to the no. There's so many people that want Rob Zombie to do Jaws, and I'm like, if that day happens, I will never watch another movie in my life ever.
I would like nobody to do it, but I
Yep.
would specifically, truthfully, like neither of them to do it. Like,
I know it's a super hot take, but I just think like with his effects and the way that he has brought like this whatever to horror, I think maybe over time if he was a little bit more seasoned and he could deliver cohesiveness and maybe be a little bit more seasoned in it, I think that he, but again, I don't want anyone to touch Jaws, but
yeah,
it's going to happen. It's
I,
eventually going to happen.
well, I don't know. We'll see. I think
As
Spielberg
soon
will
as Spielberg,
dies.
and that's horrible to say cuz I don't no one wants that. But I think as soon as Spielberg is rest RIP, they're going to be biting at the chops to get that movie.
Yeah, I could see that. I just, as I've gone through, Jaws is my all-time favorite movie as well. So me and Damien have that in common, and I'm
Yep.
not here to be particularly mean about it. I mean, I doubt he'll ever hear this, but um I have yet to see. I have now believe I've seen every movie he's ever made, and I've yet to see a single story, like a single beginning, middle, and end story that actually makes sense and is cohesive and answers the questions. And I've never seen him have any movie that has any sort of subtlety to it. And like, I don't, I think, I think he's a long way away from directing Jaws. I'll say that. But yes, I saw All Hallows Eve. I always had wanted to see it because I knew it would complete my knowledge. Now I can say I've seen everything that art has ever done, and I guess I'm a big fan of one of those things. But I am hoping that going forward, and I have a feeling in my gut that going forward, I think me and Art are going to be buddies going forward. I feel like he whether or not they make any goddamn sense, I think he's cracked the code at least to make a fun movie. I think.
I love that shot of him looking up and smiling in that Santa costume. Like, and then when he's sitting there eating his cookie and then he takes his glass and he just tings. That I had such a fucking huge toothy smile, and I'm like, yes. So I'm pumped. I can't wait.
All right, Jordana. You said you had one more. What else did you watch?
Last one, and we won't discuss this one too much because you and I talked about it a little bit, but I watched Hell House Origins.
I also watched it.
Yes, and I think that it had potential to be super scary, and oddly enough there's like weird CGI corny ass jump scares in some parts where I'm kind of like, what are you doing? Because you literally had a movie with like different shots of a clown being moved around that scared the shit out of people to make it to a point where it's like people say it's their favorite found footage, and then you backtrack and you put shitty CGI scares in it. Like, I don't know. That kind of annoyed, I mean, it did kind of, it annoyed me, but the parts that were actually like crafted and built up to be scary delivered. So I don't know. I'm in the middle because I thought it was good, but I still think Hell House, the first one, was the best one.
And so I've only seen the first one, which I
Yep.
saw years ago. I don't know when the fuck that movie even came out now.
And hated it.
And I didn't like it. And I never watched another one. And then I said, I'll give this one a go. And it was watchable. I mean, I was able to watch it through, but I'm with you. I don't have anything to really compare it to because I didn't see the others, but it just felt, I don't know. But okay, I think the biggest thing for me is, and I've realized this movie did give me some clarity, and I told you this on our live, but we'll say it here
Yep.
for the episode, is when you make a documentary style horror movie or a found footage style horror movie, I'm going to be more critical. I feel like I'm inherently going to be more critical
Yep.
that the characters act real.
Yes.
Meaning you're trying, obviously, when I'm watching a regular movie, it's presented to me as a regular movie. I can go suspension of disbelief. That's, whatever, characters do something goofy. This
Yep.
is trying to sell it as it's real.
Yes.
And when the characters act fucking stupid or do things that don't logically make sense, like I said, the one that immediately I was like, oh, so they just don't give a shit. It was like in the first 15 minutes of the movie, they're stealing something from a store, and the
Yeah.
girl like puts the camera down so that both of them can be on film stealing this thing. And I'm like,
For what?
have you ever shoplifted a candy bar when you were a kid or something? Like, what are you fucking doing? Like,
And it's to that point where you're like, and even if you're trying to act like people now where they document everything in their life, it's still fucking stupid because you're in the situation where you already know the circumstances of what's going on and what brought you to this place.
mhm.
So like you want to like, I don't know. This when that happened, I was like, ugh, and I had an eye roll. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then what else? Just like even the conversations between the brother and the girlfriend where they're like, if if you were to tap out, I'd support you. If you're that fucking worried about it, I'd be like, you can stay. I'm
Yeah.
not being mean, but like if it was, even if it was Greg, I'd be like, if you want to stay and have whatever the fuck happen, be my guest. I'm gonna go home and I'll wait for you there.
Yeah.
Like
I'd be gonzo.
that's exactly. So that shit because when you watched Hell House, there are parts where you like the interviewer, or like not the interviewer, the one dude, like the news guy, he seemed like super real. Like there's those movies where oh my god, what was that one? Horror in the High Desert.
What?
Um
I've no idea what you're talking about.
I thought you watched that one. It was
Horror on the High Desert?
Horror in the High Desert. It was on Tubi and it had like a sequel that just came out that was really big. I thought that you saw it.
Absolutely not. I've never heard those words. And I mean, I've heard those words, but never in that order before.
Let me see if I'm yes, Horror in the High Desert. And it's a found footage. And Greg and I were watching it and he's like, is this real? And I had no idea. I'm like, yeah. Like, you didn't hear about this? And he's like, no. And the whole time, like, he thought it was real because it was that good. And then the ending is so fucking creepy and super scary. And then after that happened, I saw him grab his phone. I'm like, fuck? And he's like, this isn't real. And I was like, I had you like 95% of the time. And at least it was during the good parts. But like, that's how you do found footage.
Yeah,
And
you've got to be able to believe what you're seeing, even though you know it's fucking bullshit. But you got to let yourself believe it.
exactly. So for them to like fill it in with this like nonsense that had really was any part of the first one for me because I loved it. I'm like, this is not stupid, but there was a lot of times I felt myself like tapping out because um like found or final footage. It's a found footage account, and he posted the August Underground uh movies. I don't know if you ever heard of those
I've
ones.
heard of this.
No.
Okay, back to Hell House.
But no, like just like there's so many like realistic found footage movies, and like I was saying, the August Underground, he posted stills of it today, and I'm like, I won't. I read the synopsis on Wikipedia. I can't watch that shit because that's too much. That's not like super. That's like the shit that actually happens.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the type of shit that would happen and can happen, and I can't watch the super realistic horror movies like that.
I
You
can. It depends how it's presented. Like what's the one? And I know people like it, but I just saw a clip of it and then I read the synopsis and I was like, nope, not for me. The Poughkeepsie tapes. So I was like,
Yeah.
not. I was like, I'm good. This just looks like snuff movies. I'm good on that.
I started it and then I was like, it was like it touched on like a child abduction. Now,
Yeah.
okay, you can have All Hallows Eve where they're watching the tape and they get their heads cut off. Like, that's whatever. But like, because it's along the lines of everything else that wasn't real. Is he okay?
Yeah. He's fixing himself.
But then you have so just like that's my point. Is like then you have these movies where they're super hyper realistic, almost snuff like, almost like what's the purpose of these movies? Like
Yeah.
what are we trying? What are we doing here? And I don't know. I like the more supernatural, haunted, found footage types
Well,
that are
yeah.
realistic compared to like that realm.
Like almost sometimes feels like a masturbatory, like, oh, I want to see what it would look like if I could actually do this. Like, yeah.
Like Megan is missing.
Yeah. Now that being said, for Hell House, whatever this one was called, I just had two things that besides the fakeness just drove me insane
Mhm.
was, and spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, but like 25 minutes into the movie, the brother gets definitive proof on film that there are ghosts in the house, and yet they're like, we still need to hang out. And I'm like, why?
Yeah,
You have what you came for on film right there. That fucking girl with the mask and the creepy hand.
that part scared the fucking shit out of me because I'm like
Yeah.
looking, I'm like, what is that? And I see the hand come out, and then when she came to the side, I was like, ah, like that. It's perfect. That's the
Yeah.
type of shit that's great. And then
There's a great scene. I will say I like the scene where the girl where it's like they're following her like in the room, and at one point the camera just pans by and just ever so briefly. I actually missed it the first time. Deanna had to tell me, she's like, you know, you missed a dead girl, right? And it's like where there's a dead girl laying in the bed, but you
yes,
you just see it in the background, and like
mhm,
I literally like I blinked and I would have missed it, but I'm like, that shit's cool.
yes, because they did that a lot in 1 and 2, where like you're walking through the house, or you're walking through the hotel, and you go past something and you see the person there, and you're like, because that's the type of shit that you do in real life when you're at home by yourself. You're walking down the hall, or you're going into your bedroom, and you're like, wait, did I just see you know what I mean, like the
Yeah, out the
corner,
corner of your eye. Yep.
and then you look back and then you stare for a second, you're like, is someone fuck, you know what I mean, like it's that play. That's why I loved Hell House, and I loved how they did that. But there's just so many times in this one that was ruined by generic jump scares. It just kind of like, it felt like fillers. Like, why aren't you taking the time to build up something scary like that scene, or the hallway scene? But and you're right too about having proof. Fucking leave. You did
Well,
your job. Go.
which also, like, I just feel like someone needed to go over that script one more time, because the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie, including the documentary portion where they have the two, like, whatever the fuck they are, like,
Yeah.
they identify her openly. They're like, oh, she's here to crack the cold case and solve the cold case, and she's here to solve the case. And I was like, oh, okay, so and she even talks about it. And I'm like, okay, so for the first 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, so her thing is she like goes to like unsolved murders and she solves the murders.
Yeah.
And then at the 20-minute mark, she's like, we might actually have a haunting. We've been looking for this forever. And I'm like, are you a haunt? Or are you a are you a haunter, or are you a cold case person? Because you know, it's just like, how did you fuck that up? Like just make it consistent. Just say she hunts ghosts. She goes to places and hunts ghosts. Nope, she solves murders. Okay, she just happens to be a ghost hunter on the side, I guess.
And then like the girlfriend, remember, she was like, this is the last time I'm going with you. It's like, if you haven't found a ghost after as many times as it's putting you to, you're saying I'm not going anymore, then like give it up. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And when
like,
you finally do get the ghost footage, leave.
Just perfect, like Grave Encounters. Remember how he had like the series, the movie Grave Encounters,
Yeah.
and then they go there. At least it's cohesive that he actually does this stuff. And yeah, it was fake, but at least it's like something that was cohesive. This one, you had no answers.
It made sense, yes. So I'm with it. Just those are like some of the inconsistencies that just drove me fucking nuts with the movie. And then I'll also say that anytime they did a flashback, you might as well have just painted over my eyeballs. I was like, I don't care. I know all these characters are dead, and I don't care about any of them.
And that's the thing too, because like the Abaddon and the Carmichael, I get what they were trying to do there, but it just seemed like it didn't match for me. Like bring it back to the Abaddon Hotel, or just why are you introducing the Carmichael? You know what I mean? Like it was just, I don't know. And it's disappointing because that was like one of my highly anticipated movies this year, and it kind of fell flat for me. And that's how it's just like, even with Saw X, we won't talk about that, but I fell asleep during it because it was so boring in the beginning, and I felt like it was like, so I don't know, just so weird to me. It didn't seem like a Saw movie in the beginning. And then I fell asleep, and everyone's like, you should have watched the end. I'm like, I didn't care. I've literally tapped out.
Now that one we'll have to meet on because I've yet to see it, but that is one I definitely I want to see. So I will keep spoilers on for that one.
Yes. I won't say much about it because I fell asleep. So I'll finish it and then we can talk about it.
Fair enough.
But that's all I got.
Okay, so I have one last movie that I watched. It is a horror movie, question mark. It is wild, and I'm giving it the build up and the lead up that it deserves. I've heard about this movie for fucking years, and I finally saw it. It was by far the most fun I had of any movie I watched this Halloween, this October. God knows, maybe this fucking decade. I don't know.
Oh boy.
So the movie is called Birdemic: Shock and Terror. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So
is that what you were talking about, where it said if you liked Birdemic, you should watch, and then it was like a Serbian film underneath it?
No.
Damn it.
So Birdemic. Whoo! I pulled a clip to show you.
Yes.
So one of my all-time favorite movies, and I genuinely mean this, like I love this movie. I've watched it probably like 15 times. I own a copy signed by Tommy Wiseau. I love The Room. And up until this October, I thought that The Room was the most fascinating bad movie I've ever seen. Holy shit. Then Birdemic comes out of nowhere, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's about birds killing people. They don't show up for 40 fucking minutes, and and you would think that would be a drag, right? No, these characters are so alien, and the dialogue is fucking nuts. I was watching, Deanna does not watch most of these movies with me, and she caught what I was watching, and she was like, what the fuck are you watching?
You're like,
and I told her, and then she like, I think she was reading on her phone or something. At a certain point, though, the insanity had become too much, and she like put her phone down and watched it with me. And she's like, this isn't, and we laughed our asses off. Okay, I'm going to show you a scene of Birdemic. because this is the special effects we're dealing with. And this movie is not just a bad special effects movie. This movie is an amazing testament to an alien writing English language. But I just want to show you that what we're working with here with special effects.
Okay, I'm excited and scared.
Oh, you're gonna be terrified.
I can't wait.
All right. This is Birdemic, Shock and Terror.
Oh my god.
And here they come.
Oh my god.
Open the door.
I don't know if you can hear this or not.
Is that for fucking real?
Yeah.
Try harder.
Oh my god.
It is wonderful.
Do people die in this movie?
Oh, yes, absolutely. They die. There's with such ease that I couldn't even begin to describe. One girl dies because she goes to take a poop.
What is this on?
Oh, it's on Tubi. Oh,
Okay.
It's absolutely on Tubi. And I think on YouTube in its entirety.
Might have
it's
to watch
wonderful.
that after this.
So I've done so much research on this movie. This is what makes movies like The Room great.
Mhm.
Anybody can make a bad movie on purpose.
Yes.
What is truly makes these movies great is when a psychopath does not realize they're making a bad movie.
Yes.
This movie, he legitimately thought was good. And he thought it was going to be the whole thing is like an anti-global warming fucking message. Trust me, that's not giving anything away. It's about as thinly veiled as can be. Oh my God. It's like, it's just, I couldn't get enough of it. There's two others that he made. I have yet to watch. There's Birdemic 2, and I can't remember what they're called, but they have terrible names. But I can't imagine. From what I've heard is that he's more in on the joke on 2 and 3, so they're not as good. But watch 1; it's so great. Please watch it, please.
I'm going to. Like as soon as we stop recording, I'm going to take my little my friend, and I'm gonna go and enjoy that, and then I'm gonna go sit and watch that.
I think you will have a great time.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I've been holding that one in for a while. Just feels good to get the Birdemic off my chest.
That is so horrible, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those like just the dialogue is insane. There's so many crazy things going on in the movie that are not explained. There's they rent out like an Applebee's and they have a concert for just 2 people, and they must have paid for the song I Want It to Be My Ringtone. It's one guy, and it's him just going over and over again for like 5 minutes. It's hanging out with my family over and over again, and it's wonderful.
So would you rather go see that guy in concert, or would you rather go see the band and Driller Killer?
Oh, 1,000,000%. I would rather go see the Birdemic band, because that is it was a song.
And it was catchy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I could go on and on and on and on, and I probably will at some other point in a future episode about Birdemic, possibly 2 or 3. But I feel like we have cracked. We really were able to flush our systems of all the movies we were not able to talk about over the last month. I think we did good with that.
This is our horror IV of replenishment, because we got all the toxins out from our Halloween hangover, and we got to discuss it. So I think that we should do a Birdemic episode watching 1, 2, and 3.
Tell me how you feel after you watch 1. See if you can get through it. I don't know if it was just, maybe it's a me thing, but I would absolutely do another episode on it.
I think that you and I are in the same realm of loving movies like that. So I am most certainly going to check it out. So,
All right. Well, I think that's going to bring us to an end then, right?
yes, sir. It was
Okay.
a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we will see you next week. Like, rate, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Don't tell Damien Leone anything that I said.
Oh, we need Damien needs to come on so we can ask him the probing questions. What the fuck is this? What
I
does
don't
this
think
mean?
I don't think he would want to. I feel like Damien would be like, he'd probably like you.
I'll lure him in. I'll be like David said when I got to talk to him. As soon as I came on, he was like, Damien would love that. Damien would love that poster. He loves Jaws. I'm like, okay, day's made. So,
All right. Well, I think we will say
good night.
good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.